Young Plachta spends all her time studying alchemy. She has no choice but to learn on her own, and although her days are filled with hardships, her spirit of inquiry and ambition know no bounds. But one fateful day, the voice of Elvira, the goddess of dreams, reaches her. Welcome to potentially the very last stream of the mysterious saga. All we've got left is the DLC of Sophie 2, known as Atelier Plachta, where you play as, young bunny girl Plachta. No, not the doll one that we know and love. I say that, we love this one as well, but you know what I mean, like, not the one that we've grown with, the younger, more childish version, who has catchphrases and is a bit more of a dork. Let's dive straight in. So this is based before the events of Sophie 2, I believe. This is like when Plachta first ended up here. Huh? This is... I'm certain I was just standing before that large tree. So this is what everyone usually sees, but Sophie didn't because we just stumbled in there. That voice! The same one that spoke to me. In that case, this must be the other world. Ruenheid, the land of dreams. I see, a final confirmation. I suppose, even after listening to the explanation and agreeing, many would want to go back once they were here and realized this was actually real. However, I remain firm in my decision. If there is truly another world where I can focus on my alchemical studies without the constraints of time, I absolutely wish to go there and throw myself into studying alchemy. Yes, thank you for this opportunity. Ah! This is an Ruenheid. Huh? Where? What is happening? What am I doing here? This is clearly not normal. What is this place? Oh right, I was invited by Elvira. Which must mean this is Ruenheid, the land of dreams. Incredible! So this is the curious world where I'll be able to focus on my alchemical studies. Oh, she's got that sparkle in the eye again. Uh-oh. This place must also have many and interesting material. First, I should set about setting up an atelier and gathering what I can. Is that someone else in here? What? Hey, you there! Oh, so this is before, so this is like before their development. D-Boy hasn't got his dream yet. Rami hasn't met Sophie yet. Good, yeah, it looks like you're not harmed. Just what do you think you're doing in a dangerous place like this? Oh, hello. Are you residents of this place? Oh, yeah, hello. No, this isn't the time for that. What are you doing? Wait, Ramsel. This lady. I've never seen her here before. Could she have perhaps only just arrived? But surely she wouldn't have been brought to such a dangerous place. Yes, I was informed by Elvira of a place where I could spend an infinite amount of time and brought here. That can't be true. What is Ellie thinking? Newcomers are typically escorted to a location within town. I wonder why this lady experienced a different reception. Oh, are you by any chance? Wait, now is not the moment for a chin wag. We got some basic enemies to deal with. A monster? I see. There are monsters in this world as well. However, based on its appearance, it does not appear to be too different. Save the talking for later. It's too dangerous. Get back. There is no need for concern. Monsters of this level pose no threat to me. Is that your weapon? I see. It does look quite powerful. I am pleased to see you are fast on the upkeep. If you're going to keep talking, can you at least tell us your name? I am Plachta. Plachta, huh? I'm Ramazal. And I'm Diebold Lawrence. We're going to be fighting together. Let's coordinate our attacks, we've got a lot smoother that way. Coordinate? Do not be concerned. We will follow your lead, and you too. Please follow our instructions when we give them. Understood. Let us begin. Oh, there's no extras. I was like, does that mean do what I want to do? Oh no, she's got... Oh no, we're back to having nothing. Oh no. Is there no speed up? Oh, there we go. I was gonna say, where's the speed up mechanic? Jeez, blood, she's back. Oh god, everyone's back to being super low. Yeah, no one has anything. Debo only has one sword. Debo doesn't have hasn't been dual blading swords yet. Yeah, it would appear we have finished it off. It does appear so. I must say, you performed quite impressively, Plachta. I am not especially skilled in battle, however I am glad I've trained for material gathering. Material? Does that mean you're... Yes, I am an alchemist. Gathering materials is an essential part of my work. As I thought. What is it, Ramazal? Ram's like, truth is, I am as well. Not good at it. I was just thinking that it's probably my fault Plachta ended up in this area. Eddie spoke to me before about an alchemist girl she wanted to bring the urge wide. I told her if that was the case, she should bring the girl straight to me. I do wish she would consider the time and location more carefully. Exactly. I can't believe she just brought her here to this place at a time like this. Just to be sure, this is urge wide, is it not? Yeah, that's right. This is not the world where we all came from. This is Urge-Wide, the land of dreams. Wonderful! Oh, I can hardly believe that this place truly exists. I'm so glad I believed Elvira's words. Sorry to interrupt your happy moment, but we would like you to come with us for now. It is dangerous here, and more monsters may attack at any moment. We should leave. We've also got to have a chat about what will happen from here out. Let's return to town. Town of another world. I wonder what kind of place it is. Oh, mightily curious indeed. I wouldn't go getting your hopes up like that. This is cute. Okay. Okay. I know they do it like that because they want you to use the swapping and whatnot, but at least for now I'll just rock this. I can change it later. Oh god, we're back to having absolutely nothing. We don't even have a recipe book. Alright, it wants us to go that way, but can we just go this way and like ignore any... Or are we going to get stopped? Not that way, Plachta. We're heading to the town. Oh, I see. Please lead the way. Yeah, it's like we can't explore any of this yet. God, she moves slow. I was saying, I was like, man, it feels like I'm moving a lot slower than I was. It's because I had like the speed boost boots, didn't I? We were spoiled in the main game because we had all these extra things. I wonder if it's only these three. Or if we're at least going to get like Alette or something. Because obviously Sophie's not going to be playable because she joins later. Oh, we are going to be making sickles again. I wonder if this is actually bigger than I thought it was. I thought it was just like being a DLC episode, it wouldn't be that long. But maybe it's actually going to be a bit bigger then. If we're having to get ingredients. Or at least get the sickle. Well, I knew that obviously the alchemy side of it would be a part of it. I just didn't think it would be this much a part of it. I want to see where this links to. That little area. A random hole in the ground. Okay, cool. Plachta would be me on a ladder. How slow she's going. Like, I'd be exhausted. That was a real tough spot. This is... We were underground this entire time? A sky underground, as one should expect of a different world. Common sense is inapplicable. No, I wouldn't throw away common sense just yet. That place is just particularly special. This world is created based on dreams people see when they sleep. It would seem that when all those dreams merged together, they made this world appear not too different from the real world. That is why this underground area is unique even for Urge-wise. I see. In that case, why is this location so special? Okay, that's enough. It's still not out of the woods yet. We can continue this conversation once we reach the town. Yeah, as I know where we are. So this dungeon was just here the whole time. Plachta, we need to go to town first. If we follow the path, the town is right ahead. Let's hurry. So it's probably going to be mostly just a story of how Rami ended up giving up her, not giving up, but sharing her atelier with Plachta, and Plachta then, you know, working hard there until Sophie stumbles into her life. It is cool to be playing as someone else again. As much as I love Sophie, don't get me wrong, it's nice to kind of just play as someone else again and just kind of check out and like have a different perspective on things. Especially because Plachta's more of the curious type. In that sense, she kind of reminds me of Firis. But just, you know, doesn't have the restrictions Firis had on her life. So I wasn't even expecting to actually go to the town, if I'm honest. I was expecting it to just be that those extra areas, and you just like go through it in a linear fashion, and at the end it's like, oh, and now this is what the town's like. Oh, have they been there a while? Because this doesn't look anywhere near as developed. I think they were here for a long while when Sophie finally arrived. This doesn't look anywhere near as developed. Incredible. There are still so many people. Of course, this place is filled with people from all different times and different places. Different times, different places. It's not easy to guess simply by looking. That's true. Everyone has made their place home, and their home for now, after all. Moreover, this town does not differ remarkably from towns in the real world. I find it a little disappointing. Pray tell, just what manner of town were you imagining? Did you think it was going to be some kind of crazy, mixed-up place in the underground area before? That does not seem like the kind of place where one could enjoy a peaceful life. I like how Diebold seems in a happier mood. I guess it's like it's before the whole like Zamai thing and whatnot, but Diebold seems pretty chill. Anyway, I'll give you a tour of town soon enough. Why don't we just go to my atelier first? That's probably the best place to get into the details. Atelier? Would that not mean that you, Ramazol, are a... Yep, I'm an alchemist just like you. My atelier is in a quiet spot just outside of town. Let's go. Yeah, look at all these trees. I say that's just the forest bit, obviously, but yeah, this feels slightly less developed. Yeah, everything's just like slightly mossier, slightly treeier. It's only slight things because obviously they weren't going to remap the entire damn town, but it does feel like everything's just a little less, you know? Rest to breathe. No, don't mind me. This is quite normal. I put so much effort into saving others that I've neglected my own health. I've been searching for a cure here while I take time to and recuperate. Oh, okay, yeah, there's... In fact, it's no chapter, it's just a sequence of events here. Yeah, okay, this isn't going to take too long, I imagine. I love... Maybe it's just like, me being a Genshin player, and every single character has, like, floaty cough physics. But I love all the little strands coming off of Plachta as you're running with her. So she's got like 4 little strands on her hip, and then she's got like 2 pink ones on her elbow, so when you run, all of them kind of flow in the wind behind you. It's like a little extra grace to her design. I like it. Also, and like I always noticed it, but I kind of wanted to make a mention, those pink straps are just her hair. She has her hair, because the front of her hair is so long, she has it strapped to her arm. And I noticed it, but I just never really had a good moment to mention it. But now we're playing as her, now's as good a time as any. She has it like stretched, like strapped to her arm, so it's not in the way of her. And so I just think I'm like, that's cool, but that must be uncomfortable at points. Like you try and stretch out and reach something, but you literally start pulling at your own hair because it's like, attached. So yeah, so this is the house that becomes Rami's house, I believe. Oh, so I can talk to you. I have to try something new, so I've taken up farming. I've never done anything like it before, but there's something exciting about being out of one's element. Can I raid the farm like I did with Sophie? Oh, there's like nothing here. Not even boxes on the side? Ah. So you just mean that they get too trusting, got it. They get too trusting at some point, and then, Sophie happens. Oh right, come inside and make yourselves comfortable. I don't have drinks or anything to offer you though. So this is Ramizel's atelier. Yep, and it's still got the 2 beds set up and whatnot. So if Rami had this place all to herself, why does she have 2 beds? Did she let guests stay over from time to time or something? It's wonderful! Oh, what a marvellous atelier! Thanks, what's your atelier like? My atelier is a small room in my home. The cauldron alone occupies most of the space. This place is a treasure trove by comparison. It would be no exaggeration to say I am in alchemist heaven. You really do love your alchemy, don't you? On that note, Plachta, did you listen properly to Elvira's explanation of the world? Yes, if I recall correctly. And that is what I was told. Are there any other matters I should be informed of? No, that's about all you need to keep in mind. You really have everything together. Being so well put together, did you not doubt Miss Elvira's story? Why were you so willing to believe a preposterous story about another world? Of course I did not entirely believe what I was told at first. However, as I was the first time I encountered a voice speaking directly within my mind, my curiosity got the better of me. Ah, now that you mention it, there is one more thing you should know, just in case. Those who return to the real world can choose to either keep or erase their memories of their time in Urge-Wise. Because I haven't finished Plachta. Oh, well, we can experience it together then, dude. Welcome. You mean that I would forget the time I had spent here? Would that not defeat any reason for coming here? Oh, Plachta. I know this is based before, but oh, Plachta, if you knew the foreshadowing that this is retroactively done. Are there those who have made such a choice? No, not a single person. But you never know what could happen. So it's best to know the options. I have an important goal for my time here, to study as much alchemy as I can. Also, some of the keys on my keyboard are stuck. Oh, no worries, dude. As such, I could never for a moment consider a choice that would render all of that pointless. No matter what occurs, I will, without a doubt, return carrying with me the experience and memories I gained during my time here. It's like, screenshot this, like... like, poorly aged sentences. It's like Plachta saying, I will keep my memories, and that she does not. I can see you have a great strength and heart. You're exactly the kind of person who should be in this world. I feel like I should do like a slightly softer voice for Debo, since he seems in so much more of a pleasant mood in this. It's easy to see how much you really love your alchemy. Plachta, if it's okay with you, how about you live here with me? While I'm doing the Y0 trophies. Yep, enjoying that everlasting grind. This place has a lot of equipment you need to practice for alchemy, and lots of books too. Wouldn't this be the perfect place for you to immerse yourself in your studies? Oh, are you certain? I would not want to cause you any trouble. You won't. I've got plenty of work keeping me busy. It means I'm rarely here, so I'd practically be grateful to know someone is making use of the place while I'm gone. Tools get dusty and brittle if you don't put them to use regularly. I am exceptionally grateful. Thank you. No, thank you. Oh, and that should be everything. Debo, we better get a move on. Are you leaving?
Yes. We need to investigate the area where we found you. It is not only that it is unusual, there is another problem. It seems there is a giant, unidentified monster living in there, and it is attempting to expand the opening that serves as an entrance.
Oh, is this like the first Growl to get into the land? Or something like that from moons ago? We don't know much about it, but everyone would be in danger if a monster that big emerged next to the town. That's why we're going in to investigate, and if the monster's dangerous, take it out. Exceptionally grateful and mightily curious, yeah. I see. If that is the matter at hand, please allow me to assist. I cannot simply remain here after learning that the town may be in danger. Besides, you said this location is peculiar, even for Urge-wise, correct? Is she going to say it? If so, I wish to investigate it with my own eyes and gather rare materials in the process.
I would wager a bet that the latter is the more pressing reason for you.
Having a healthy intellectual curiosity is an important trait for a good alchemist. Since we do fight quite well together, it might not be a bad idea. That piece on your wrist is not attached. No, that's her hair. Never mind. I was like, that hair is like having problems with her wrist. Still, I won't pretend I don't have concerns. In that case, I will make some items for use in battle. Then you have nothing to be concerned about, correct? That's a thought. Okay, you can use any materials you can find in this atelier. Take a look and see if you can make something useful. Then we will decide if it's safe for you to come with us. Didn't we have to do something like this with Sophie? Is this where, like, Plachta got the idea from? Because when Sophie showed up, Plachta's like, make something good, and then I will let you stay. Like, it's like the same test. Is this where she got it from? Understood. Well then, it is time to begin. So on the desk, you want to save and load. No recipe book, though. Oh, you can't change codes. I get it, DLC. Oh, and you make it's a completely different save system. Like, it didn't come up with my Sophie files, it was just this. Oh, and I can't go to sleep yet. Oh, jeez, there's nothing. It's like, it's gone. Uh-oh. Also, looking at the character icons, yeah, it's absolutely only Plachta, Rami, and Debold by the looks of it. Which is fine, for the record, because, you know, if I had to pick two extras out of who's here before Sophie gets here, like, they'd probably be the two I'd pick. Like, it's okay not seeing Elias. I'm okay with it. As much as I love that guy, it's okay. Oh god, we're back to 5x5. Oh no. Well, I shouldn't complain because, like, you know, this is going to be, like, potentially the last stream we see this grid until I, you know, come back for, like, trophy hunting. So I should kind of embrace the grid, whatever it brings, while I've still got the opportunity to do so. Will this completely get rid of it? Yes, it will. Ah, it's fine. I don't get to change the music either, I just realised. There's no music option, so we've just got the default Atelier theme. Uh-oh. She's got that smug confidence. Here it is. This is back before she gets her ego checked a little by Sophie being just better. Incredible. This is very well done. You made this just with the materials you found around here?
However, you still need something useful in battle.
I expected you would say as much, which is why I also prepared this. Fucking, where'd she make that? What? You mean you made two things at the same time? There was space in the cauldron, although I would have actually liked to prepare 3 or more items together. No, you can't do that. Since this becomes very dangerous if you don't stick to making one type of item at a time. Throwing in a huge amount of materials can cause a big reaction, potentially even a major disaster. Is that true? Tell me you didn't know that. You're lucky to have made it this far in one piece. I was going to say, is that the first time they've ever done a double like that?
However, the item she made is a sight to behold. It should indeed prove useful in battle.
Yeah, alright then, Plachta. You can help with our investigation. It would be my pleasure.
Before we depart, Plachta, do you believe you could make any other useful items? It might be best to prepare them in advance for investigation.
Yeah, what a bet, Rami.
Oh, you said what alchemy, Rami?
Well, no, it's... To be fair, like, no other protagonist has made 2 items in the cauldron at the exact same time. Plachta's just a psycho who doesn't realise what risks because she's all self-taught. And I guess just hadn't had a mistake big enough to warrant not doing it.
However, you cannot afford to wait long. If there is something you can make in a short period of time, that would be ideal.
I understand. There are several items I think I could make of use. Including food, maybe. Oh my, you hungry? You should have said something earlier. Right, you mention it. I've not eaten in over half a day now. I became so swept up in the events today that I entirely forgot.
You will not have enough strength on an empty stomach. Ramazal, our new priority must be to provide Plachta with some sustenance.
About that, it was never really established before. I think I just kind of put that down to assumed for the sake of game mechanic. You know, like if they made it that you could like have several things on the go at once, maybe they was just like that would be either annoying or like problematic to try and set up. So making it that you just kind of focus on one thing at a time was just easier. But I think this is actually the first time it's ever been brought up in lore or in story that making more than one item at the same time isn't the best idea. Good chance to introduce Plachta to Katie too. I keep on going to press like map buttons and things like that when we can't. Maybe we will later, but not yet. I mean, failure ash is a thing. Yeah, true. Alright, so we can make a couple things, but not much. It's all like the basic stuff, which makes sense. You know, neutralizers, crafts. Do we have a recipe book? We still do not have a recipe book, so we just don't need the basics. I'll let you have the heal for now. And you can have that. And Debold does not need an item. It's not entirely unreasonable to make a completely secondary item. True. Well, speaking of failure ash, does that just like not exist in the series anymore? Because it really doesn't feel like it. It feels like the last time we saw it is when I deliberately had to like get it for like one particular item in Sophie 1. But I know you can fuck them up in Firis somehow, but we never had that happen. And I don't know about Lydian Suli, and I'm pretty sure not this one, but it feels like failure ash, or the idea of being able to fail an alchemy in this series, just doesn't really exist anymore. They kind of moved away from it. It's not too hard to avoid. Like, because I've seen the artwork, because we saw it at the end of Firis, like, there is a fail state that you can trigger with Firis. We just never triggered it. And I don't know what it is that does. It's like the quality has to be too low or something like that. And like in Lydian Suli, like especially near the end when I was trying to grind for things, I was just like spam building things and making like really terrible stuff, and the game never once failed me on it. It felt like the only game where you could fail was Sophie 1, just because of some of the cauldrons had time limits. Alright, let's go meet Katie. Is this before... Oh no, Gnome is here as well. I was gonna say, is this before she met Gnome or not yet? Here's the lady of the hour. Oh, welcome! Huh? A face I haven't seen before. Are you a newcomer? This is Plachta. She just got here and she's actually an excellent alchemist. Pleased to meet you. I'm Plachta. I am Katrina Bulbastre, but everyone calls me Katie. I think it's mysterious that just the time limits are generous. Yeah. Well, this was like the first saga to try and move away from it a little bit. What, Plachta, why did you immediately respond like that? I mean, I get it, she's hot as hell. Or is this Plachi discovering? Like, it's just like she's having her awakening. Let's hurry up on the pleasantries. But can you arrange something for Plachta? She hasn't eaten about half a day already. Oh no, it's supposed to be her stomach rumbling. That's why she reacted like that. Oh dear, she must be starving then. I'll prepare something quick and easy. You can cook? Oh, that's a rare turn of events. Plachta has Ramazel's hearty endorsement, doesn't she? That calls for some special treatment. So that was like the whole thing with a mysterious saga. It felt like it was moving away from the time limits one way or another. If I was hungry and waiting for food, I wouldn't be standing waiting. I'd find somewhere to sit. They're bulletin boards where townsfolk post requests. Did something catch your eye? No, it is simply that all the requests here are concerned with defeating monsters and providing some kind of assistance. Even though there is a talented alchemist with a spectacularly well-equipped atelier nearby. Why is it that there is not a single request for the alchemist, I mean for Ramazel? Because she's not good at it. Casey's like looking at her like, oh dear. Well, it's a bit complicated. And by that you mean... I don't doubt Ramazel's abilities as an alchemist one bit, but if you ask her, she'll whip up almost anything, and the quality isn't bad either. It's just that Ramazel herself doesn't believe she has enough skill to get serious about alchemy. One cannot become an alchemist without talent to begin with, so how can that be? It's because her other talents, like her athletic ability, stand out even more. Besides, taking a more physical approach also suits her personality more. Because she already has things she is very good at, she doesn't believe she has a gift to be very good at alchemy as well. Is Ramazel unaware of the flaw in her logic? Well, I did try and tell her more than once, but every time she just laughs and shrugs it off. Anyway, even if she wanted to learn alchemy properly, I don't think she would have the time to do so now. Ramazel is the leader of this town. You mean that she's like the mayor of Atali? Don't you say that? That's kind of funny that Plachi of all characters immediately went to mayor. It's not anything that formal, but I guess she pretty much does what you'd expect of a mayor. She's so busy with all of that work now. I don't think she has the time to practice her alchemy. She's one of the most responsible and caring people out there. That's why everyone looks up to Ramazel. Mysterious retcon that made that claim. Yeah, fair. Every person in this town understands this, which is why they don't make the requests that would be directed at Ramazel as an alchemist. They do not wish to place additional burdens on her. Exactly. Looks like you're done. Feeling full? Oh yes, that was mightily delicious. Alright then, let's get on our way. See you later, Katie. See you. Please take care. Where is she? Where'd Katie go? Where's Gnome? Gnome didn't say anything. Gnome was like standing here. What, he just see new people and just go, oh, just... I say that if it being DLC, there's always a chance they was just like, look, do we really need... Does Gnome have anything important to say? If not, we don't need to spend the extra money to have him, like, you know, get the JP actor in, you know, to, like, write the script for him. We could just have him in the background so you know he's there. And she said the thing. JP actor. I could have just said voice actor. What does she say? If actually, hang on. What was Plachta's barrel lines? I know we just left, but I am mightily curious now. I need to. What's a brilliant barrel? Oh, okay. Ronan and Satori have untalented alchemists. Yeah, but the thing is, that's like, I don't think it's a retcon. Because, like, what Plachta was saying is that everyone who is an alchemist, to some tiny extent, has to have some kind of talent for it. Otherwise, they'd never have even been able to start. Whether they're good at it, and whether they have the talent for it, that's two different things. If they have, like, the natural ability to make the start, that's what I kind of felt Plachta was more getting at. Just like, look, if you have the ability to make the start, you have the ability to learn it more. Which is why Plachta didn't agree with the logic that Rami was just seeing too bad of it and not trying. Because in her mind, she probably saw it as, well, no, you can always improve and learn it. You've got the natural ability, so you might as well make the start. I don't necessarily think that's retconning. I think that's just the way they explained it. No, I'll just go up this way. I always forget this staircase is here. I was about to run all the way through, but like our movement speed is so much slower because I don't have the shoes. I don't have the speed up shoes that I had with it, and I don't think we get access to, yeah, we don't have access to any of the DLC stuff, so we can't do it. It's only in the main game you get access to the DLC extras. To be fair, I guess, because I didn't really notice that much if we were moving faster when I had the shoes on. It's only now that we don't have them that I'm noticing I'm going slower. So I'm like, oh yeah, so that they were making a difference. It doesn't really jive. If you want to go through the Arlen quad, you'll understand what I mean. I guess, but we'll see. Also, eventually I'll get to Arlen. Probably way later, but eventually. So as I said, because after this, we're going to do a couple streams of Soul Hackers 2 to kind of get back in the vibe of it. But I'm not going to make the whole week just Soul Hackers. Because unfortunately, I am not ignorant to the fact that Soul Hackers is by far my worst performing streams. And going back to it, you know, several months after it comes out, yeah, those streams probably won't do well. So I'll only be doing like a couple streams at a time sort of thing here and there. Just because literally no one's around to watch them otherwise, so I have to kind of do something. Oh, I just heard the doorbell go. 1 second. Never mind, someone else got it. But like, yeah, as I was saying, like, even though like I enjoy Soul Hackers and I'm always going to play what I want to play, I can't just be ignorant to the fact that like no one really watches the Soul Hacker streams. It's like, so I have to just kind of be like, okay, only for a couple. But we will instead start Riser on Wednesday. But I do want to emphasize, much as I absolutely adore the Atelier games, and I'm looking forward to going through the Riser games. This artist doesn't jive with me. That's fair. So I know the game's not for everyone. I said the biggest gripe most people have, and it's one of those things where you either like it or you don't, isn't the art style for a lot of people. It's the fact that the gameplay style is extremely traditional. Like, it is super traditional in its design and its philosophies. To both a benefit and detriment. Like, it is like, it feels like it came straight out of like the early 2000s in some of its design and in ethos. And I like the art style, but I know it's not for everyone. Like, I like how, like, vibrant and like almost aggressively bright it is in places. But I know that's just me. I know some people really don't click with it at all. But after the Riser games, despite how much I love this series, I'm not immediately going to then go into like the Dusk games or the Ireland games and whatnot. I think for the sake of almost letting me breathe a little, I'm going to do other things. And then come back to the Atelier games later down the road. The other thing I need to figure out is whether I make the Riser games a separate playlist. Because right now, my playlist for all my live streams is just Atelier series. And it's like, considering the Atelier series is like, at this point going to be like 53 or 54 streams, should that just be one playlist and I just say it's Atelier Mysterious Saga, and then make another playlist that's Atelier Secret Saga, because that could be really long as well, considering the Riser games are also pretty big. For me, the art isn't my deal. I'm a guy known for playing those kinds of early 2000s kind of games. That's fair. Consider doing what I do. Yeah. Anyway, back to Candyland. Okay, we're back here again. Why is the slide so magic and sparkly?
What an alien location.
This is an exceptionally fascinating place. Single playthrough is a separate list and I have one super list. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I want to... I don't want, if I can help it, having like an absolute monumental shit ton. It's why like I have a playlist that's one-off streams. So if it's only a game I'm playing once or something like that, it goes in there. Or like if there's several games that have a shared theming, like if I went for like a bunch of cyberpunk-esque games, there's a playlist that's cyberpunk-esque games. Speaking of, I want to go through Signalis at some point soonish, because I think that'll be fun. So they're all together, sort of thing. Because I like, although of course, the more I stream, the bigger the playlists are going to get, and the longer that list is going to be. If I can keep it at least a glimmer more contained, then I will. It's just I also don't want like a single playlist to be like 600 videos. Go on a trilogy, quadrilogy playlist. Yeah, that's what I might do. Because like, to give an example, like, because what I do, I'd also arrange the playlist in Saga order as I go through it. So like all the Riser games would be after in the main playlist. If I did it on that one, all the Riser streams would be at the bottom of the list because they're after the Mysterious Saga in that sense. But if I then went back and did like the Dusk Saga I'd put right at the very top of the playlist because they're before, and then Ireland I'd put above Dusk because it's before that. Feature some of your favourite playlists on your channel page. I'm not 100% sure how to do that. I'd have to look into it properly. My knowledge of some of the inner systems isn't as good as it should be. At least not on the mobile app. I'm not sure how to do it. I think I'd have to check it on the laptop or something. The entirety of it, although it was also created from a combination of dreams, compared to the rest of the world, it has come together in such a bizarre way. Studio page to go to customization. Okay, I'll have a look after the stream. I am extremely curious to learn what kinds of dreams it is based upon.
The dreams it is based on? Well, it does look like something that emerged directly out of a dream.
Yeah, I know what you meant me to the studio page, so I've got the app for that. Perhaps it's a collection of dreams of artists specializing in abstract painting. Is it possible that this place was created by only using unrealistic, fantastic dreams? Separate app? Why? I have no clue. It's because the YouTube app is more focused for viewing. The YouTube app is more focused for people that just want to watch YouTube and want to do that. Because you can't expect every single person on YouTube to want to worry about the channel and whatnot. So making it separate means people that just want to watch YouTube don't have to worry about any of the studio or account stuff. Whilst on the website, it's the other way around. It's more convenient by the nature of it being a website to have it all together.
Whatever the case, it was Miss Elvira, the goddess of dreams, who created this place. I do not believe a goddess would use a dream brimming with dangers on purpose.
You're right. We know that Ellie would never create a place based on a nightmare. But what kind of dreams did she base this place on? We'll have to see if we can learn something we can as we look around. Either it's tedious, yeah. Well, on my phone, like, I have my apps grouped up, and I have everything to do with YouTube in one group. So it's never an inconvenience, at least for me, in that sense. Yeah, it's like, why is this slide so sparkly? I'll do this because the game clearly wants us to do more of the swappings and whatnot, which is why it started like that. But
Take that.
I do kind of wish we at least got a fourth character, so I could have a full team up and someone in reserve for the twin action. Because right now your option is have a full party on the field, or don't have a full party, but at least you can twin action. Smartphones yet? Oh, fair enough. I'm used to it. I've been on smartphones since I was like 13 or like 12 or 13. I've had a phone since I was little, but I always had like these old brick phones that was only really meant to be called on, and I almost never acknowledged them. I just kept it nearish to me in case I did get called, and that was it. Billikex. Candy nuts. Oh, there's unique ingredients here as well. Actually, how big's her basket size? Oh, around 200, okay. So, still better than Liddy and Suli, but not as crazy as it gets in the main game. Which makes sense, because I imagine this won't take anywhere near as long, so you don't need it to be as big. Nice. Really? Why does it feel slower? This feels slower than it did in the main game, and yet it's capped out. I wonder if that's also to do with the speed shoes, that the speed shoes for some reason speeds that up. Oh, he does have the other sword. Okay. When we first started, it looked like he only had one sword, so I was curious if he hadn't started using double swords yet, and this was so further back sort of thing. Sickle. Alright, so that's now we can make green neutralizers. Oh, I keep on forgetting. We're not back in the main game. I actually don't have a big box of stuff. I should be picking up almost everything. Is that what the treasure chests look like? That's kind of cute. I think it's because we don't have a recipe book. I'm also not that fast in picking up everything. Oh, we don't have a proper map warp. It's just return. Does that mean I have to make the run all the way back here afterwards if I leave? Oh, what the heck? I just realized what's going on with the moons in this little place. This tree appears to bear candy instead of fruit. I wonder if it is edible. Yep, ate it without a problem. When I first came here, I tried some candy that had fallen off a branch. How did it taste? As you'd expect from the look of it, just a normal piece of candy. I was prepared for something more surprising, so it's a little bit of a disappointment. It was not especially pleasant to witness you pick up candy off the ground and eating it, I would say. You only feel that way because it looks like candy. It's actually no different from picking up a nut and eating it. Although, I wonder what kind of person would dream of a world in which candy grows on trees. Someone with a sweet tooth and a rumbling stomach. People do say if you go to sleep hungry, you'll dream of food. But this is a bit too far-fetched, don't you think? I have dreamed of trees bearing steamed soil potatoes once.
Potatoes are supposed to grow on the ground, not in tree branches.
I know that! It was merely a dream. Well, it's too early to say much about anything about this place. Let's keep looking. Is that like Disney Castle in the back over there? Look at it. So we have Cool Disaster and Light Laser at least. Well, I'm having to remember what they were called in their default names. Because this is before all the upgrades and whatnot, where they've got like more enhanced names and everything. Oh, we actually get to see the level up animations again. Because, you know, we hit the level cap so long ago. There's no ability points as either. Okay. Yeah, this is very... not basic, but definitely not as many layers. Because they know it's just a small DLC. This isn't the main, like, meat. But I can see why they expect you to do the main game first, though. Because there's been some details of the plot and some details of just some of the events and, like, characters we bumped into, where it's been kind of, like, they haven't gone into detail on it because they just kind of expect you to already know. But it's just kind of like an assumption is made kind of thing. But I say that the whole thing can be said about this game, despite it being based before Theoris, it's, they reference, like, future reference Theoris a lot. This is a cute bridge. Is there any landmarks in this? Because this would have been one. Maybe not then. World of Toys. Okay, get that. Oh no, never mind, I can't. Because that slides that way around. So this whole right-hand side is like we're just going to come back that way later on or something? There's an event there. Event there. If I can pick up that chest. There's another exit there.
Take that.
Bro, I don't know how big or small this DLC is. I did assume right off the bat that because it's a DLC, it's almost mostly going to be just this dungeon. But we'll see. I said at the start of the stream, I honestly wasn't expecting to even go to town, really. I thought maybe that'd be like in an ending scene that they go there, and they just carry on exploring here or something first. I was expecting to just start here in the dungeon, and you go through it, and then you end. Or something like that. I was expecting it to be kind of brief. But if it ends up being a bit longer, then sweet, because it means I get to prolong ending my journey through the mysterious saga by, like, more minutes. So I know it's coming, and I'm going to have to accept it eventually. Well, I say that, this being based before Sophie enters here, we've already seen the last of Sophie in this saga, and that's just tragic. As I say that, you know what's really tragic? Pamela's not in this game. That's the real tragedy. You mean to tell me they couldn't have made up some way that she ended up here, even as a ghost? Come on. I would have loved to have seen what Pamela looks like in this game's engine. Sure, I could do more natural oil. But maybe that's just my bias kicking in. And apparently Pamela is present in, like, because I did look into the character, apparently Pamela, or someone who is definitely her, but maybe like Wink Wink doesn't have the same name or whatever, is like in every single saga since her inception. Like, she's everywhere, you just gotta know where to find her. It's just every saga has like a slightly different version of the character sort of thing, like a slightly different version of how she is, including the Riser games. Apparently she's in Riser 2. So it won't be the last we see of Pam, thankfully. Even if it'll be a different version of her with a slightly different personality and whatnot, I still get to see, my favorite character, or one of my favorite characters. Which means I have to still be able to do my voice. I say that if it's a slightly different version, I have to kind of judge what voice I give her depending on what version we meet. Like if we meet like a super like grungy, deep voiced, like almost tomboyish one, me doing the Pam voice I do in the other games won't fit. If I suddenly decide it's like, oh, and here you are, like it won't suit as well, you know? Oh, okay, this is cute. I want to go see the graffiti. You know what this makes me think? And I know that this is already kind of what Blue Reflection is, but I'd love to see Gus do like an Atelier game based in like the modern, like a modern-esque world. I'd love to see how they would handle that if it was like, if it wasn't like all fantasy, it was like more modern fantasy. And just seeing this graffiti wall just immediately, or this mural, just immediately made me think of that. Incredible! A mural occupying an entire wall? I wonder if this was made by people in ancient times. Or maybe that'll be the next saga, well, after Secret ends.
Why do I feel like it reminds me of something?
I see. It looks more like doodles than a mural. Doodles? Yes, even in Atali, there are kids who enjoy getting up to all kinds of trouble. Sometimes they like to doodle like this on walls or in the middle of the street.
I see, so that's why it looked familiar.
But not all children draw pictures like this, you know. You think so? I doodled a lot like this when I was young.
On walls?
Well, you know how it is. That's a yes. You realise it'll make your parents mad, so you just do it anyway.
You have not changed, although I suppose I'm in no position to judge either.
You know what's the crazy thing that this conversation just put into my head? At no point in Sophie's story, like in the main story, did Ramazel talk about her parents. Because Sophie probably doesn't know who her great-grandparents are, full stop. They were probably gone long after, you know, Sophie was in the world. Like, Ramazel could have said, oh, did you know your great-grandma or your great-granddad, he did this, 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 and that. Like, there could have just been, like, little, like, flavor text stories there they could have done there. Oh, well. I'm in no position to judge either. Sounds like you also got up to some trouble when you were a kid. Have you ever tried it once, Plachta? No, pictures are not genuinely intended to be drawn on walls.
That is true, but...
In any case, let's continue our investigation. Wow, it is just like a complete wall off. Huh. Oh, I was like, oh, did I find some secret path? No, this is just here. Can I go get that chest first before I go towards blood? Oh, some corals. Alright, what do we get? Ooh, armor is a thing in this game. Oh god, everyone's stats is terrible. Hang on, right, it's the start of the game again. Uh oh. You get first dibs. I really, it's on me entirely. I completely underestimated how much effort would be gone to in this DLC. I was expecting it to be, like I said, super basic in some ways. Oh, let's go see this plot thing, and then I'm going to have to go back and turn my stuff into an outer room. Hopefully we don't have to do the full run back, but I think we might have to, considering it just says return to room instead of, like, bringing up the map warp. And there's no, like, crystals yet. I'm not seeing any crystals on the map, so I'm getting more doubtful. I wonder what this is. These are very peculiar sculptures. Do you notice something, Diebold?
Can't be certain, but I suspect these were made by a child.
A child?
Indeed, they appear to be enlarged versions of clay sculptures made by a child.
It does look that way, but aren't you jumping to conclusions too quickly? I agree. To me, they look like strange sculptures used in some kind of ritual.
It is too messy for that. You see, there are lumps of additional clay on top of to stop the tail from falling off.
You really are pushing your theory. What makes you so sure?
It's because I too loved making clay sculptures as a child. When I couldn't get the clay to stick together properly, I get frustrated and reinforced it, well, rather forcefully.
Ah, I think I can picture it. Was that what got you into smithing in the first place?
You could say that. At some point I started to get more joy out of crafting imitations of weapons and armor, rather than people and animals.
So are you suggesting this place was created based on dreams of children?
I think it is a possibility we should consider.
Alright, let's keep looking around. Let's return to the room. Hopefully we can just warp straight back there, but I really doubt it. No, we absolutely cannot. Okay, can we at least make something new whilst we're here? Oh, I just need neutralizers. Like, why can't I make anything? God, there's like no room. It's like, it feels so suffocating being back to this small. I don't think it's going to be enough regardless. No. God, 46 quality? We was getting like several hundred quality. I've been spoiled. Oh, I can't make any of this because her alchemy level is really low. Right, I see the problem. It's not just because I don't have the thing, it's because her alchemy level's 20. now we can at least give more things that I don't seem to really be using yet to other people. I do want to make one more of this though, so I can have more than one person have like some basic healing. Oh, really? No. Ah, that's actually perfect. Alright, get rid of you. Oh, whoops. Like, oh, I can get it high enough that I can make a bomb. A basic goddamn bomb. 3? I didn't realize we need 3. How often does that happen? Sure, so we've got something on the fire. We're not going to be able to fit everything, I don't think. Maybe if I'm idiotically ambitious, we might be able to. No way. I'm just looking at this now, like, no. Nice. Bomb? 24, damn it! We can make a luft though, so we can make some kind of explosive. Alright, now you get to play this game. Why is the electric in the middle? That is like, no. If I can't expand my my board, the least you could do is not put it right there. That is evil. Whoops. Nice, I'm a champion. I got almost everything. It's just gonna not gather air, I guess. But at least we have more weapons. And we can make a bomb. What's the highest level thing here? We need bait for you first. We need blue flowers for you. And bugs. We need a bug net. I mean, oh, we just need to find bugs in general. Okay. Okay, screw the red then. The red's not working out. Not the red. Screw the blues. Sorry. The reds haven't done anything to me yet. Yeah, sure. Nice. And that's enough to take you over to 25. So it's kind of sequenced then. Because there's like, this might take us over enough to 26, this might take us over enough. Oh, okay, that's 26 is the highest we need to worry about for now then, never mind. Ah, I'm actually going to hold off on the ice bomb because we don't have any blue neutralizers. Oh, and of course, this being Plachta, she can't help herself but make more than she needs to of everything. Because I already put your equipment cost way too high. There, so everyone's got something. You can't even sleep. It's like, no, we didn't want to make a sleeping animation, so just take your lumps, just go. Well, I say that there's no clock either. It just has the sun symbol, so clearly it's irrelevant to this story. And there's really no way. Okay, there's really no way of warping back, so we just got to take the jog. Okay. So as long as we ignore enemies, it won't take us too long to get back there. Oh, you know what I should quickly check? I doubt it, because I said I don't think they want you to be that fussed about it. I should check if there's shops around the like this square. That's looking like a big negative. There's no icons whatsoever at the top of the map. Never mind, I'm not even gonna bother. In the same way, Perker's shop's not open, so yeah, this is more contained easily. So look, we don't need Perker and Perker in for anything, so we can save money but not having to get the actress in again. Literally any character that doesn't have relevancy doesn't say anything because it's DLC. It's like, look, they don't need them. DLC never gets as much money put into it as the main game, so of course, if they don't need to pay extra for something, they're not gonna. I do hope there's at least a unique boss at the end of all this, though. And we don't just, fight another returning boss from the main game, or just don't have one. Because that was still my biggest gripe with Sophie 2, among a couple other things. That the bosses were really lacking. I know bosses haven't been the strongest strong suit of the franchise at any point, but it was still more apparent in Sophie 2 how many times you just fight the same boss. Oh my goodness, it's such a trek. Is it really that hard to not have quick travel in this as well? So he was seeing the question marks. I'm like, oh, I can get. Nope, no, I can't. Don't have the sickle. But I didn't see the sickle in the list. Maybe we will get a recipe book later on, or something to that extent then. I know they won't let Plachta get too carried away in terms of her alchemy abilities, just because otherwise it wouldn't make sense when you go to the main game. They want to keep it kind of low. It's why her level is like 15. It's like the lowest leveled character in Sophie 2 full stop right now, because even in Sophie 2 you start at level 20. Because continuity. And I still think if they do a Sophie 3, she should start at level 50 and make the level cap 99, just because then it feels like, you know, it's her journey sort of thing separate for it. But who knows if they'll do that. Either way, we're nearly back where we were. Oh, I think there's our blues. Nice, so when we go back next, we can make blue neutralizers and then make an ice bomb. So you've got some more diversity. I say that, just like at the start of Sophie 2, there's no immediate need for us to use the items we've got, so I'm in no rush to use them, especially because there's no way to duplicate them. And I doubt there will be, because once again, it's a small DLC. They're just like, look, just get on with it. Yeah, that's kind of the mentality I'm getting. There is a detouring path to the left, though, so I'm going to go check that first. Also, is it a unique battle theme for Plachta for this DLC? If that's the case, that's kind of cool. It sounds like it is. I don't recognize this track. Victory theme's still the same, but I expected that much. Some more oil. But I need a bug in one of these, because the bug, if we can get a bug, that would really open up my options. So I can get bait, and then I can get a fishing rod. Wait. Oh, let me just raid this private house and get some puny jelly. How good is that compared to my sedative? HP and MP are medium. There you are. Only 3 uses, but yeah, we'll just be wary. I guess just for now you look after that other one then. But I'll probably give Rami ice bombs when we eventually make them. This is a cozy little private house. It's an interesting way of doing a side area. Just, hey, just waltz into this house. I felt like I was playing Legend of Zelda for a second. You just break into someone's house and take stuff and leave. Well, I guess there's no other way to really go. We'll just keep on going then. Have we fought this variant bunny? I think we have. I'm not sure. The other one was like more brownish. Either way, it's a bunny, so it's going to be weak to physical attacks, because hell have mercy on these poor things. Oh, I'm out of special actions. I was gonna say, the twin actions does not build up quick when you're not killing enemies. When you're just hitting them, it builds up very slowly. Are they going to talk about the moons yet? Because look at that. Wow, I've never seen stars this big. What a beautiful view.
They are so bright that we can see them crystal clear, even when the sky is bright.
I wonder if they would actually look like this if they were this close in the real world. Impossible. Surely.
Plachta, what is wrong?
A view. I have seen it before. What do you mean? There was a period when I was little where I liked to observe the movement of the sun, the moon, and the other stars. I used to believe that if I walked in the direction of the setting moon or sun, it would look like this. Or even that it was possible to journey to the sun and the moon.
Did you actually try to reach the sun or the moon by walking towards them?
I did consider it, but I could not muster up the courage. Perhaps that is why I used to dream of it often. This view looks exactly like that in my dream. This place really does appear to be based on the dreams of children. Yeah, probably you as a child. It's probably your dream, Plachi. Sounds like we're finally all in agreement.
Indeed, our Plachta's dream appears to be far more mature than ours.
That's true. I never went about observing something so seriously when I was little. Yeah, but that's what led to you having such a trained mind. That's why Plachi is the way she is when she all grows up. And becomes, you know, the one that Sophie meets. Because even as a kid, she had a hyper-observant mind. Alright, where on earth... Okay, there's another, presumably random hut there. We can't do more fishing, so we need some bugs. But this looks like finally where the map's going to turn around. So we're going to go back on ourselves the other way, by the looks of it. Some treasures there. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. We're going to go up and then down the other side. And then that will exit us out somewhere more interesting. Cool, spookies. Alright, time to actually use our magic then. God, I love the bounce. This is a nice theme. Like, come on. That's something else. They didn't need to do that. They could have just played the game's main battle theme. But no, they actually made a unique battle theme for this part. Like, it always... I don't know why I keep on getting surprised, but it always surprises me how much commitment Gust puts into every single little thing. They never do anything by halves. Even if, like, not every single thing they make is, like, something I like, not every single little detail or every single little idea they pitch ends up landing, the fact that they give literally everything their all is so, like, inspiring in its own little way. Oh, please tell me you shrooms like have like bugs on you, so I can actually start like getting that fishing stuff sorted. Nice. Good being up those levels already. You know what would be fun, but I doubt the game will do it. If like, if you reach the level or surpass the level that these characters are supposed to start Sophie 2 at, if the game kind of like calls you out for it and it's like, you shouldn't be this, you should have finished ages ago. Oh, level 25, okay. Oh, goodbye. Well, back to Debo having like no MP. Nice. Alright, let's head up. I'm gonna check left first to see if that's another hut with some random goodie in it. And then we'll check the plot direction. Oh wow, okay. Soy potatoes, no go wrong with that. Is it another hut at the end of all this? It is, okay. So there aren't any real proper branching paths, it's just there's certain huts you can just break into. Then rob some poor fool, get some armor, which is only for D-bolts. Okay, so it's just Rami that needs something better. And I'm hoping one of those two chests will be. Same, we still don't have any bugs, do we? We didn't even like get anything off of her. Unless this counts now as medicinal. Eventually. We'll take these flowers though so we can make more neutralizers if we need them. Man, they really hold off the bugs, don't they? They're like, no, you can wait. Because all we need is one, and we can use that to like feed into everything else. Wow, these take me back. These are building blocks, right? Indeed, they are too big. They can no doubt be they are building blocks. I used to love playing on these cylinder blocks. I always preferred the ordinary square building blocks. They didn't roll around, so you could make whatever you wanted. When you do it right, they won't roll away even if you put them on their sides. No, that's way too much effort. Seriously, what are you two jabbering on about? Sorry, for a second it felt like I was a child again. When it comes to building blocks, triangles are the obvious choice. Any structure you attempt to build will simply not look right without a triangle block. Huh? But there aren't that many ways to use a triangle block, right? Did you not use triangle blocks to create the foundation of the castle or a house? I wouldn't make anything that strange. You know, just 3 adults casually talking about how they'd play with building blocks when they were kids. It's no, wait, I did do that. When you make it look slightly elevated. I call building a tower that's swayed by stacking blocks on top of the triangle. I did that too. Oh, that takes me back. These 3. There's these 3 are gonna sit and like, yeah, like, all 3 of them are just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I think we've gone too far back into our childhood memories. I agree, but it does seem like everyone enjoyed playing with building blocks, doesn't it? Is this an ad? All 3 of us enjoyed making things back then. We didn't change much. Is this an advert for children's building blocks? What was that sound? Doesn't seem like any ordinary animal. It's probably the monster we've been looking for.
Indeed, it would seem to not be too far from here.
Let's hurry before it runs off somewhere. And then we guess we're going to find the monster and then chase it all the way back down. Oh, you're a different colour, jellyfish. Come here. A Gorgon head. I need to be kind of wary. I've noticed health is starting to dip a little bit. In fact, since I pretty much never used this, yeah, so let me actually just do this for a sec. That's fine. The MP thing isn't too much of a problem as long as we keep on using double actions most of the time. And then just use the starting skill, which we seem to be getting away with anyway. Or we can just pick up a puny missile, that's kind of cool. Actually, let's swap out. So then you're using the one that's got more uses. And hopefully that other chest will be in another armory piece, so I've got something to give Ramazol. Before, I say fall behind, it's not like she's gonna fall behind, but you know what I mean. Just to make sure she doesn't kind of really dip. Oh, there's a lot protecting this chest. It's like, can I help you guys? I'll just do that. Alright, give me an armor piece. Or an ice bomb, I'll take that. Goodbye, craft. I said I was going to give it to Rami, but I think Rami's kind of alright as she is. Now, once we pick up the puny missile, I was like, oh no, I need to think about this more. So I'm going to have to guess that an extra armor piece, so Rami has something, will just be later on, when we're on the back burn. But there is a mini-boss enemy, we could detour to that. Oh, come on. It's like, oh, come on, I need to get a sickle. Problem is, if I go down, I won't be able to come back up easily at all. Where does it say we are on the stop? Oh, already nearly done. Okay, then I am actually going to go back and fight the mini-boss and look around. If we're already nearly done, I'm just going to, you know, look around more. Maybe we don't come back then. What's her slide look like? Oh, okay, her slide animation is near identical. Never mind. Oh, that's cute. Bunny just chilling there with the rod. So what's the mini-boss enemies? Is that Shroom? Think it is. Yo, bang. Oh, it's got an aura. Okay, we're back in business. Okay. Get rid of that. Oh, it's a great mini boss, guys. I'm going to check back down this way, get that loot, and then fight the boss, because I think it'll literally fight the boss and then be like, and then it'll get the mystery resolved, and then the DLC will end. And we've got all the ideas we needed, basically, that this was how they met. Rami just basically gave up the Atelier instantly. Like, it's just that last little blank, I guess. Do you think the sparkle is to hide the fact that Plachta's feet clip through the slide slightly? Well, and I think they just reused Sophie's animation, but it just doesn't, you know, fit Plachty because of the height difference, so it just makes it slightly clippy. Oh, accessories. Because you don't have a unique armor, I'll let you have it. Because also skill boost is pretty nice. So I know I'm bringing up the map a lot, was new. So now we're back at the start, so it's just one chest, and then we're back where we were. So let's see what this final chest is, and I'm going to return home just because we can restack and everything, and make sure we're ready for whatever comes next. Heart earrings, okay. Considering how MP focused you are, yeah, that works, that makes sense. Oh, that'd be everything. Let's return back, make what we can make. Four, 3, 6, 6, 4, 4, 5, 7. Okay, I was just checking how many uses we can of everything. See, we never got bugs. They don't exist. Oh well. It's just a neutralizer. I just want to make my own ice bombs so someone else has got something. We can't make lightning bombs. Actually, we might be able to after I make the ice bomb, but we'll see. Oh jeez, I probably should have put the big pieces down. Oh jeez, there's so much. Oh god, actually I don't know where I'm putting these big pieces. I might just have them overlap. Yeah, I'll just do that because I have nowhere where I'm putting them otherwise. And that's as far as that's getting, so these last pieces don't matter. Alright, time for the greens. Actually, I'll start with this guy and put that there. And I'll just put that there. Not as good as the one we picked up, but at least we made one. And hopefully it will help us make a lightning bomb.
I'll go all in on the yellow. I don't know if I'm going to fit everything, but well, I'm going to go in all anyway. Oh, so the rest of this is unnecessary now, whoops. But lightning damage, paralysis, and electrifying, sure. Effective versus 1, if we're about to go fight a boss, yes. And try and curse them. Okay. That'll be helpful. So no fishing rod, because we can't make any bait, unfortunately, but oh well. Yeah, we don't need the craft. I'd rather do that, and just have Diebold have some healing on him, because we have the puny jelly for if it's more significant. But then we've got someone who's got a lightning bomb, and then the craft is just kind of there. I'll save one more time, and then we'll beeline for that boss. I like how the save. I know you can't see the save files every time I go to save. The main game just says game data every time I go to save. In this it says Plachta data, like Plachta game data. So it's like they had to differentiate it just in case it wasn't obvious. I find it crazy that we haven't found a single bug. It's probably in this area, that's why. There's probably like 1 or 2 spots here that we can go that will get us bugs, but I am not that fussed. Just for a fishing rod, so we can get more resources we're not going to be using anyway. Because there isn't a recipe book, and it looks like we're already near the end of this. Which I said, to be fair, I said in the last stream that it'd probably be maybe around 2 hours, and we're approaching the 2-hour mark now. So fight the boss and see the ending scene, yeah, that seems about right. And then the rest of the stream will basically be breaking down my final thoughts of the franchise. Of the mysterious saga, which is crazy in of itself. Okay, careful with that advice, Ram. I saw that. It is. I do agree to an extent. It says don't rely only on textbooks. Yeah, don't. But at the same time, it doesn't mean ignore the textbooks. If you're researching anything, they're there for a reason. Alright, it's gonna be a long trek since we can't just warp there. But oh well. But that being said, yeah, these enemies are running away from us already. We're fine. So as we're running over there, it's now it's starting to hit me a little bit. I'm just like, uh-oh, we are actually at the end. you know, it's like it takes a second back, and it's like because we've been at this. Sophie 1 started what 3 or 4 months ago, and we've just kind of this is just slowly but surely consumed more and more of my attention and time as we've gone on it. I love this saga. This whole saga is fantastic. There are some blips and there's some ideas that don't click in here and there, but as an entire saga, what this does with its characters and its stories and its world is genuinely really inspiring.
And yeah, I won't soon forget it. It's the same with a lot of Gus games. They have a way of sticking to me. And even if no one of these games kinda like stole the show from me the same way Blue Reflection Second Light did, that doesn't for a second mean I think lesser of them. They're all phenomenal games. Even the ones lower down the list like Furious or Knights of Azure 2 are really fun games. That all means something to me. I love seeing, like, especially like as someone who grew so attached to Sophie as a character, seeing her progress as, like, you know, being just a lost 16-year-old who's only just lost her grandmother, who was kind of like very lonely and trying to figure out what she wanted to do in the world, and like had made all these promises to herself to be brave and all that stuff. Seeing her at, you know, 19 in this game finally get to have that final farewell of her grandmother, and like, you know, finally, you be able to admit that it was a facade, that she isn't brave and that she does have these weaknesses, but she can find her footing again. Then to see her at 21 in Furious be like such a bubbling inspiration of a character that like is the core reason Furious finds her footing and finds her reason to find her own path, and then like mature into such a loving and optimistic adult as the 26-year-old in Lydian Suli. Sophie's journey, like, it's any game that does it always kind of gets a tick in the box on me, but Sophie's journey and seeing her grow throughout the games, it's done so much to just help make her feel more real and more lovable and more enjoyable. Like, I always look forward to seeing Sophie again every time we went to the next game and seeing how she grew up and how she changed. Especially because when I first went through Sophie 1, I wasn't aware of how significant Sophie was going to continue to be in the other Mysterious games. I didn't realize. I thought Furious was going to be same world but different character, and Lydian Suli would just be same world, different characters. It was different mains, obviously, but Sophie was still around and Furious still showed up in Lydian Suli. Oh, there it is. It's just like a rainbow-coloured Dragonair.
Impossible! What is a dragon doing here?
I knew the monster would be big, but I never imagined it'd be a dragon. Ugh, this isn't the time for questions. We need to hurry and deal with it.
Indeed, we cannot allow it to leave this place.
We must take it down. If it comes up saying either Growl or Aura or question mark Aura, then we already know. Oh, no Aura whatsoever. Okay. But it's literally just a Dragonair. it's a low-level Dragonair. And it starts with a debuff to give you more of a chance. Oh yeah, you're right, I forgot I put you only on heal. I'm going to put you on Battle Cry then, just to make sure you don't take down Plachta. I think I can just do defense swap. Ow. Let's try this. Damn, that actually did great damage. Yeah, save Plachta. Oh, we're on the normal battle theme. Oh, that's kind of cute, a way of doing it. The boss theme is just the normal battle theme. That's cute, okay. I didn't even realize at first. I kind of missed this battle theme because we stopped hearing it partway through the game because, like, as you progress, it gives you different ones. This would probably kill it, though, to be fair. Yeah, it's dead. Like, you know, as like certain plot points happen, the battle theme changes. So just hear it. I didn't actually realize it was a normal battle theme straight away until the chorus. Alright, now Plachta's level 20, which is actually, like, accurate. Ooh, Dragon Horn. I imagine they'll still let you run around and whatnot after you're done, which is why they just gave you a resource. Okay. So that big puny at the start of the game was just this, and that's why the cast didn't care about it? At the start of the main game? That's an interesting little thing to tie into. Huh? Did you see that? The dragon turned into punies.
Don't tell me a horde of punies have been mimicking a dragon.
If you think about it, is it not that unexpected? As you explained it to me, the monsters in this world are based on people's dreams, correct? That's right, because monsters also existed in the dreams that inspired the creation of this world. If that is the case, it is not surprising that a monster born from such an unusual dream would also be unusual.
Indeed, it would be strange to expect the monsters alone to remain normal.
In any event, I believe we have dealt with the monster that was trying to get outside. Yeah, I suppose it should be safe now, but the question remains as to what to do with this place. We can't just leave it like this.
In addition to being close to town, it is bound to attract children. If word of this place gets out, I will have no doubt they will try to make it some kind of secret base.
Why not put up a danger ahead sign? You think a sign would stop curious children? In any case, how about arranging some guards in the area?
Unfortunately, there are no individuals in Atelier who would be prepared to stand guard all day long. Everyone has come here with their own dreams and goals. Besides, the entrance is located outside the town where monsters roam. Perhaps a guard could be arranged to patrol the area, but that would mean that there are fewer people to take requests from the townspeople.
There are tons of requests of bodyguards. They're often asked to take care of all kinds of physical jobs. What other option do we have?
Should we fill it in?
No, I think I should simply cover it. I am, of course, speaking of creating a cover using alchemy.
Can you make something like that?
To be honest, I am not entirely certain. I've never created something of this caliber. However, I do not like the notion of completely destroying a place based on children's dreams. You're right, destroying a place like this just because it's dangerous seems unfair. Yes, that is why I wish to return to the Atelier and gather my thoughts.
Understood. In that case, let's make haste.
When we finish the main game, I'm going to load up the main file and check that spot to see if there's something that looks like it's covering it up or what, because I'm curious now. A cover can also be made on the ground and won't be easily removed. It also needs to be extremely durable. Well, have you thought of something? It is difficult. Several different ideas come to mind, however. This book is about medicines for healing wounds. Yeah, that's right. It's a quick fix for a minor wound. A minor wound, a hole in the earth, medicine that fills holes. Oh, absurd. Surely this sort of thing could not be. She's figured it out and she's annoyed because she's like, what? Wait, Plachta, I think you're onto something. We'll make a medicine that cures the earth instead of a human body. A medicine that heals the earth? I've never heard of anything like it. That's why we're going to try making it. That's what it means to be an alchemist, doesn't it? Creating amazing things that wouldn't otherwise exist. But I do not think I can make something that... To find out if it's possible or not, you first need to try. That's it. After we defeat that dragon, we took its horn with us, didn't we? Let's try using that. It could work out really well. You can't just decide it carelessly like that. If we fail, we fail. Don't think much about it. Just go with it. I understand. Alright then, I shall attempt to prepare the recipe. Land medicine. Yeah, we have what we need. No bugs, but we have what we need. Oh, and it's just a plot item. $28. I can't remember what her alchemy level starts at in Sophie 2, like in the main game. Incredible. I cannot believe it actually worked. You're amazing, Plachta. You really pulled it off.
My apologies. Can you actually explain what kind of medicine this is?
To put it in simple terms, it is a medicine to heal the earth.
A medicine to heal the earth? You mean it will heal a wound in the ground?
Yes, that is precisely what it is. This medicine recognizes holes in the ground as wounds and repairs them so they appear just like the surrounding earth. Or, that is what I believe it should do. I was only able to prepare one for us to try. In that case, the right only thing to do now is to go try it out. Let's head to the entrance right away.
A world sealed off.
And that's it. There's no... I don't even know why they had the side objective and the ability objective, like, tab visible on the important things thing. You see at the top there's like the ... and the flag. They should have just not been there. Let's run again all the way back. Use these little legs because, you know, quick travel is a myth in the DLC. I also want to run over in this little direction, to be fair, for a sec, just in case I can find a bug. So I say that, but I don't know what the fishing would be for, because literally everything we needed, we got without it. The same way we never got a sickle, so that was pointless as well. Maybe someone gives us a bug? See, there is that whole thing about talking to people. There's a bug. The pot's in the town, got it. Okay, so now we could have made the thing and then made the rod. Which actually I might just do, just so we can say we've completed alchemy book. Oh, whoops. I wasn't expecting it to be right there when I got it in. So that piece doesn't matter, so we can go straight over it. Nope. Wanted that to be there, don't know why it just bumped it up. There we go. We can make bugs for this quick. And the only thing we didn't make is... Yay! Okay, so we made literally everything. Cool. Not that we're using it, but we made everything. Oh, blue's worthless. Hang on. Alright, so that's everything. Not that it mattered at all, but that's everything. So I didn't need to do that at all. But yeah, now we can say that we haven't missed anything. The bugs are in the area, got it. They're not actually in the Candyland. Which I suppose makes sense. Because of how like self-contained and like specialized it is, of course it's only going to be things that fit the theme that are there. Now we'll do our victory lap back and then wrap, because I imagine that's what it's going to be. So once we're done with the story, so I am just out of curiosity going to check and see if there's anything even remotely like hinting at something being there in the main story. I doubt it, because I think this is going to make it look like exactly like it is. Like it's just normal land. But I'm still going to check. But then after that, I need to kind of give my final thoughts to this whole saga, and I still like... The reason why I didn't do the Plachta DLC at the end of the last stream, other than the fact that I wasn't 100% sure how long it would be, was because I didn't have my thoughts together yet, and I didn't know what I was going to like say and what I like and what I don't like and everything like that. I still kind of don't, even after sleeping on it for like twice, you know? After having 2 nights to think about it. But I suppose it's just a testament to like how much like raw emotion this game got out of me. I think it's a better way to put it. That there's so much emotion that was like put out on display with it, that the actual like what do I think of everything on a mechanical level throughout the whole franchise, throughout the whole saga, becomes harder to break down for me. But I'll still give it my all when we do see the end of this. Oh, I do hope it works. Because so far, all this DLC does then is establish that Plachta has an immature and childish mind, because I think the child world is an extension of her dreams, which is why she could relate and understand all of it. And also explaining how Plachta met Rami and Diebold. So it's like, it's kind of almost like just like a prologue. Like something that would just be like a demo piece that just gives you a small idea of everything. But because it, you know, references material and knowledge you don't have unless you've played the main game, you technically have to do it afterwards. Look, the hole disappeared. I didn't expect it to get covered up so quickly. Oh, you had to check it? It is solid. I don't think anyone would believe there was a hole in this place. Good, we really did it. You did it, Plachta! You really are an incredible alchemist. No, it was thanks to you, Ramazal. I could not have thought of this on my own. Even so, you're the one who actually did the synthesizing. It's painful to admit it, but I don't think I could have made something like this. Still, I didn't expect you to be such a skilled alchemist. Plachta, I have a favor to ask of you. Will you hear me out? A favor? Yes, I'm an alchemist, and I love alchemy, but I don't have a lot of time to do it. This is because you are Rutali's leader. Your work keeps you very busy, so it cannot be helped. Thanks for understanding, but the townsfolk also need an alchemist who can make lots of different items for them. So would you consider helping out the people of Rutali while you live here? If you accept, you can have my atelier all to yourself. What are you talking about? I am already content with you allowing me to stay with you there. But you'll be able to focus on your alchemy studies a lot more if you are left to your own devices, right? I suppose that is true. However, I simply cannot understand how an alchemist could relinquish our atelier so easily. Even though I'd be handing it over to you, I'll still use it whenever I need to. But outside of those times, I want you to make as much use of the atelier as possible. I want you to hone your skills and become a far, far greater alchemist than you already are now. So, hang on. There's a bit of a full circle here, because Rami is not only the original inspiration for Sophie becoming an alchemist, she is one of the... Well, I say that, like, the town being in need was Plachta's original inspiration, but Rami's also, like, the biggest, like, enabler that allowed Plachta to develop her skills. So Rami helped 2 alchemists become, like, god-tier alchemists, and that then later in life worked together without realizing they were ever going to do that. That's kind of crazy, Rami. Not for your sake, but for the people of Rutali. I do expect the volume of requests of an alchemist's skills to increase rapidly. You mean? I will take over your atelier, so please leave all the requests to me. I'm so glad. I was kind of nervous about what would happen if you said no. Alright, Plachta, I'll be counting on you to help out the people of Rutali. And make sure you keep up your studies. With such a spectacular atelier as my home, I will work hard even when I'm asleep. Is that it? I think that is. Oh, there's Gnome just standing around, not going to say a word. So, how's your new place treating you? I haven't really paid attention to it. I've been so busy, I only go home to sleep. It's pretty old, so I thought you might have all sorts of trouble. I'm relieved to hear that hasn't been the case. Thanks for finding it for me. Having 2 characters that I gave similar voices to speak to each other is more problematic than I realised. Don't worry about it. More importantly, about Plachta. She drops by to have her meals, but she spends the rest of her time in the atelier. There aren't any requests for her yet, so she shouldn't be so busy. Just what is she doing holed up in that place? There's no need to worry. It seems she's having the time of her life making her way through all the alchemy books in there. Books? She's not practicing alchemy? It sounds like she didn't have a mentor to teach her alchemy in the real world, so she had to rely on a single old book to get by. That's why she says it's exciting just to be able to read all these books filled with even the most basic of information. Who would have thought that a girl who got her start without the right basic knowledge would have skills that amaze even you? I'm sure she tried her absolute hardest to grow up as an alchemist through trial and error, without giving up, even when she failed. It makes me happy in a way to meet a girl who loves alchemy that much. You gave up at your atelier so Plachta would help the townspeople through our alchemy, didn't you? But I think your love for alchemy rivals even Plachta's, doesn't it? I'm no alchemy genius, but I love it more than anyone. That's just the kind of person I am. Dear me, you really do have absolutely no idea. Hello, D-Bold.
Please forgive my tardiness. The request took me a tad more time than I anticipated.
That's fine. Now then, should we get going? Oh, you heading outside of town again? Yeah, Ellie asked us to do a little favour. Oh, it's just establishing why she's not there at the start of Sophie too. So we'd better be off. Take care of the town while I'm away. Of course, take care. Not only the townspeople who rely on Ramazal, but Miss Elvira herself. She really is an outstanding person. Oh, and yep, it's gonna be her just getting better and better and better and better. I see. The reaction of the materials should be judging not visually, but through feeling. Of course, this is a good deal safer than peeking into the cauldron every single time. It's been a few days since I took over Ramazal's atelier. I have thumbed through most of the books here. They are filled with all the important information on alchemy, which I had no way of learning in the real world. Just like that, I feel my alchemical skills have developed more than just ever before. Even if one attempts the same recipe, errors in how an alchemist carries out their work can make a dramatic difference in terms of quality and performance. It truly has made me realize how dangerous my alchemical technique was only a few days ago. However, I'm a different person than I was then. I have the correct knowledge, an environment in which I can study alchemy without any inconveniences, and an infinite amount of time. Now that I have all these things, all that's left is for me to do my best. Work hard, hone my skills in alchemy every day, and when I eventually return to the real world, I will make an incredible item that will embody this experience and amaze Luard. Oh, if only you knew, it didn't amaze Luard, it made him jealous. I wonder what kind of face he will make. I'm already looking forward to witnessing it. Oh, is that Sophie? Is that the timing? Is that when Sophie walks in? Please come in. It is, isn't it? That's when Sophie... yeah, that's when Sophie would walk in. Oh, that's really cute. That's really cute. So she was literally, like, just on the verge of, like, celebrating. Bonus content has been unlocked in the main story because you beat it. Mosaic Umbrella and Candy Sundae, and Area of the Childhood Dreamland. And the added recipe is going to be synthesized by Plachta. The Childhood Dreamland area will be unlocked as you progress the story. Also, I can go there in the main story now. I've got to. That was cute. It was just a little extra closure and a little thing tying and whatnot. It wasn't anything too special. God, I have so many save files in the main game. New recipes have been done. New areas and new recipes have been made. I was gonna say, do I have any new costumes? Actually, I should take Plachta. If anyone's gonna have a new costume. No, okay, never mind. Where are they? Where are these things? Or do I have to go find them in the dungeon in main mode? God, we have so many things. Diver band, yada yada, all the ingredients, confettio, neutralizers, nets. Okay, I'll probably have to actually go there. Hang on. God, Sophie moved. Look at this. Sophie has actually got pace. Oh, right. Oh, yeah, there. I can see it. So it does appear in the main game. That's really cool. Let's get over there quick. Is there going to be a little event or something? Or is it just you can come here? Oh, no, it's just you can come here. Okay. The game's just like, hey, you can come here as Sophie now. Don't worry about it. This is cool though. I like this. And you can also, oh, that's why like the scythe and the sickle and everything was here. I get it. I get it now. It's because you can come through it in the main game afterwards. Clever. That was actually them thinking ahead. The enemies are still the same though. Uh-oh. That makes me... Oh god, there's more chests as well. That makes me curious what everything is. Alright, we've got something else to do while I start getting my thoughts together. Because we have done, what is it, 53 or 54 streams to go through all the mysterious games. It's been a journey. It's been about 4 months, I think, around about of doing this. And that, you know, obviously means a lot. It's been a huge chunk of time to just go through all of this and have these experiences, and I won't soon forget them. Oh, I just realized most of this stuff's going to be pretty basic because you could have done Atelier Plachta at any time. That's why the enemies are super weak as well, and I imagine the boss at the end's a joke. If it's still there. One of these treasure chests might be the recipe book to make those new things as Plachta, but we'll see. We finally got Malgamore. Wow. It took the DLC area to get it. Oh jeez. Oh, and there's actually crystals here. Oh. See, why weren't these here? Why weren't these here in the DLC? Does this mean we can raid all their huts and whatnot? Also, where is this on the map? If I check it on the main map now. Oh, it fills this spot. Oh, so they did actually think about that ahead of time. Okay. And here I was saying, why is it just a random space here? No, this is where the childhood dreamland goes. But it looks of it, there's no plot or side story or anything here with Sophie and gang. I guess it literally is just an optional area for you to run around through, in the same vein the crossover areas are. But this is still really cool that you can actually do this. Once you beat it in the DLC, you can access it in the main world. But yes, my thoughts. I guess I'll just go through them game by game. So I'll start with Sophie 1. Oh, hell, this armor's going to be terrible, isn't it? Yep, okay, let's not bother with that. We'll just pick them up and sell them later. I won't probably bother checking. Sophie 1 is it's not the weakest of the lot. Like, one of them has to be the weakest, and unfortunately that's Furious. But it is the most awkward to first get into, considering it was like my first real venture, you know. So I was still trying to figure everything out. The game just kind of says, "All right, you figure it out," and then the plot takes a backseat for like the whole first half of the game, whilst you just run around talking to people and get a feel for things. And I feel like the more structure that the later games had made them easier to get into in comparison. But once you do get into Sophie 1, I genuinely loved that game. That game was super fun. I enjoyed the characters. I loved the dynamic between everyone. The art style is like, you know, the last glimmers of the old engine they had before they moved to the engine they used for the rest of the mysterious games, and then the next engine they used for all the secret games. Or the Secret Saga games, even. So, like, the art style was kind of, like, I kind of almost liked the art style. I liked, like, the slightly overly, like, they almost looked hand-drawn in places, like, because of how overly cel-shaded they were. But it made it stick out more. The music, obviously, was phenomenal. Not every single track was memorable, but the ones that hit really well. All, like, the late-game boss themes, and especially the final boss theme, was phenomenal in Sophie 1. The dungeon layouts were extremely basic. And that's something that is unfortunately just the weakest of the series, and that's just the nature of it being the oldest of the lot. The dungeons and areas are all super basic and super small. Even the final dungeon, if you just ignore the side areas, is 3 rooms, and then it's the final boss, you know? And I know, like, there was, you know, the post-game stuff, which I haven't explored entirely yet anyway, so there are some little things that can expand more, yada yada. But as a whole, it was a bit like, oh, okay, these areas are just like tiny little playgrounds and not actually environments to explore. You go there and there's set enemies you fight and set ingredients, and that's all you're there for. You're not there to go on a journey or explore out a unique little cave or whatnot. You're literally just there to pass the time and leave, you know? You get where you need to go. There's only one dungeon that felt like a dungeon, and that was that manor in the woods, where you go into the manor and it's abandoned. There's 2 floors. At the bottom floor, there's a hole in the ground that's made that leads to a cave system. Then at the end of the cave system, you then fight a boss. Like, all of that's like, that makes sense. Also, is there any? Oh, there isn't. I was gonna say, are there any landmarks here? I was like, that was like the only one. That's like, that one was like a big traditional dungeon, but that was like the only exception and not the rule, unfortunately. So I do have to knock that back on that. The gameplay loop, that was the only one where you had to pick what everyone was going to do first, and then the turn played out. While all the later games changed it, where you pick an action for that individual, and the individual attack then acts. Like in Furious, like if I said, Furious, do this, she then immediately does it, and then it goes to Leonie's turn. Whilst in Sophie, I'd pick my action for Sophie, and then I'd pick my action for Monica, then I'd pick my action for Corey, then I'd pick my action for Harold, and then we would see it all play out. But we'd have to look at the bar and whatnot. And both styles work. I definitely prefer what they do later because it becomes more snappy. But in terms of strategy making, the older is more helpful as well. Because then you can kind of see where it's going to fit into the timetable as you go and be like, oh, okay, this doesn't work, this won't, this will alter this, and just go from there. So it was like, it was more strategic leaning, whilst Furious onwards is more casual leaning. Which I can respect and appreciate them doing it in that way as well. Trying to think, what else did we talk about Sophie 1 before I move on? I like the quest system, as basic as it is, compared to Furious. So I'll get to Furious more directly when we get to it. I preferred it because it was just simple. You saw it, you said, okay, you have this many days to do it. You can go do it now, or you can go do it later. You could see exactly what you needed to get out of it, or what you were going to get out of it, and it led towards your rank if you did enough of it. It's why I was so happy they brought it back in this, because it is the same. Oh, and there's the recipe, Childhood Dream. So when we go back, Plachta will be able to make that. I wonder if that counts towards the Make One of Everything trophy. Like, if you don't have the DLC, like, you get the trophy, but if you have the DLC, they then expect you to get it to still get it. Because there are some games that do that. When it says make everything, they only check that you have everything as of latest version. So the sooner you get it, the easier it is to get the trophy, because the later versions will have more stuff, so it will become harder. I think Final Fantasy 15 had that, where like some of the DLCs added more content to the main game, which then became requirements. I will kill this thing though. It'll die in like 2 seconds, but yeah. Go on, you get all these special skills. Remember when it... Yeah, that's dead. Just to mark it off the list. Oh, that was a fungus hound. Oh, okay. And it's the mini-boss here? Oh, okay. But that's kind of it with Sophie 1. Like, and the alchemy system, the idea of trading out cauldrons and having to remake cauldrons and whatnot, they kind of remade that with the catalyst in this game. So they did come back to it, but just kind of cleaned it up. Because that was like the only thing with the cauldrons, is that like, and although in this game I only used like one catalyst like most of the run, each one I could see the merit of each one. Whilst the cauldron system in the first game, it felt very clear cut, some were just way better than others. There are some like that once you got them, you never used the others because they were just better. They were just better. Even like the expert cauldron, the one that had the time limit on it, it gave you a whole minute for goodness sake. You had plenty of time to figure out where you wanted to put things down. And so it never felt like it was like a big threat, or maybe just to relax I should take something else. And then when you get things like that dream cauldron, like the not cauldron of knowledge that you get at the end, there's no reason to touch anything else. So that is something that I liked the idea, but I also like how they improved on it as it went on. I want to see if I can climb this. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So the cauldron system was kind of cool, but it also was kind of restrictive and maybe the weakest system? Because I have mixed feelings on Firis' system, which I suppose I should get to that talking about this Saga. Firis, although I think it was the weakest game, I still stand by the fact that I think it has the most engaging and best post-game. Because Sophie 1's post-game doesn't have much in the way of plot, it's just wrapping up loose ends that if you decide to do it and tackling super bosses. Firis, the post-game is the entire second half of the game. There's so much of the game you can't explore until after you beat the exam. There's so much that you can't even begin. Like, none of the character side quests you can even start until the next game, and all of the character side quests directly tie into what ending you get, what ending you decide to pursue. And that made the second half of the game super fun. I genuinely loved the second half of Firis. Getting like the cool vehicles, which that's the other thing. Firis is the only game to have any kind of vehicle, and I loved the vehicles, and I think it's a shame it never came back. I love the fact that you could get a broom and like fly around like a witch at like supersonic speeds across lakes. I love the fact that you could get like a bulldozer to burn through rocks for you. You could get like aircrafts or boats and all this stuff to get around easier to different locations. That was super cool, and I'm kind of gutted that never came back. Especially because, you know, I miss being able to move fast. You know, I think that's probably the biggest thing. I miss being able to travel around super quick in Firis. Once I got that broom and like cranked it up so it became like a motor engine, we just flew around everywhere. And I loved doing that. I loved being able to do that. But that's unfortunately where a lot of my compliments start to fade with Firis. Like, it's the weakest game because the first half, the time limit is not only pointless, but because the whole game is on a time limit, every single plot thread feels like it's less because they have to be wary that you're on a time limit. So they can't make it go on forever. They can't expand it out as much as they probably could have. And so everything felt less compared to Sophie, which, keep in mind, Sophie 1, I already critiqued, didn't really have a story until the second half of the game. And yet in this one, this game, all of its story beats are just unnecessary. They just feel like they're just there. The only exception being when you get to the middle of the map and you have to work a little harder to, you know, repair the boat to get through the maelstrom. Or the water spouts, because for some reason they use the kindest and smallest and most undermining word to explain this giant water vortex that's like up in the clouds, but whatever. But yeah, but that game was super fun. It just had the most problems because of that first half. How open the map is, it was arguably more open than this game, because everything was just everywhere. It was just like, hey, everything just leads to somewhere else, go see what happens. Whilst this, it was non-linear and connected, but it was, you're always going to go to the plains and the forest, you're always going to go to the flower bank, then the caves, and work your way around and end up, you know, in the snowy corridor, then the Thunderbolt Palace. Like, you do like a full clockwork circle around the map and then go into the final dungeon. Whilst in Firis, like, you could go on huge detours if it so took your interest and like really go off the beaten path. You started in the top left and you had to get in the bottom right of the map, but your way of getting there, outside of the choke point in the middle, was very open, and I loved that. It was one of my favourite things about it, is that it feels like if I go through Firis again, I can take a completely different route. Which I probably will when I inevitably do it. Because I do want to get all the trophies done, and when I do it, I do want to experience some of the other... Even if they are underwhelming, I still want to see what all of the little story arcs were, sort of thing, to go from there. But beyond that, though, the music was nowhere near as good. Like, there's no, like, tracks that really stood out to me the same way, outside of the remix of Sophie's theme that played if you got to fight her at the end. If you got to fight her at the end of the exam. The time limit said was unnecessary. The crafting gimmick, instead being having other resources, made enough sense to keep everything tied together. You know, like, it made enough sense in that regard, to keep everything tied together. No more cauldron, it was just to have a different resource. But some were clearly better than others, and it resulted in, like, the same sort of problem, where there are some ideas or some paths you never had a reason to go down, because they weren't worth it. But that was also the one that got rid of the element with the highest percentage is the only one that counts thing, which was a gargantuan quality of life improvement. Making it so I can put points into every element and all of them matter is something I will struggle to go away from when I eventually go back to Sophie 1. And Sophie 1's system of only whichever one is the highest percentage is the one that gets added. Because that sucks. It was alright when I played it, but once I was exposed to better, it's like when you're playing Gen 4 of Pokemon for the first time, and you experience the physical special split, and it becomes so much harder to go back to the first 3 gens as a result. Because suddenly you have to go back to the first 3 gens, and it's now element based, whether it's physical or special. It's that. And so it's that kind of same feeling, where it's like, it's not an absolute deal breaker, but it will be harder to go back to Sophie 1 as a result. But unfortunately, that's kind of it. I love the map, I love the vehicles, I love the second half of the game. Firis as a character is so endearing, and her relationship with her big sister is genuinely really charming. I think, like, Sophie might be my favourite protagonist, but Firis is the most endearing. Because she's literally a fish out of water. She's lived in this underground village all her life, and she desperately wants to get out, and at the age of like 15 or 16, or however old she's supposed to be, finally gets to see the world, and literally everything is a marvel to her. It starts raining, she's super curious about all these cold drops of water that are dropping on her face. Like, she passes by a desert, she's curious about all the feeling of walking through it on the sand. Like, she finds a tree, and she's like rubbing up, like basically like a tree hugger. Like, she's such a... Everything is new to her. Everything is cool to her. Everything is magical to her. Like, it made her super charming and endearing because she was just a kid on an adventure, and that's all she needed to be for a protagonist. She was just a giant, like, sparkle of life, and it made her so fun to play as. And Leonie being, like, even putting aside Leonie's near obsessive love towards her little sister, Leonie just being kind of the one to make sure Firis doesn't stray too far off the path in her little adventuring, made those two have a charming balance. The other downside, though, is that beyond that, none of the other characters mattered. And I suppose that's something I should tie back into Sophie 1. Sophie 1 was kind of half and half with its playable characters. As in, like, most of them I did care about, but there were a decent chunk. Like, Fritz, I wasn't that fussed about Fritz in Sophie 1. He grew on me as the main trilogy went on, but I didn't care about him in the first one. Leon, she was cool and interesting and, like, great for armor making, but I never used her in party because I had no reason to want to. The gun guy, actually I think his name was Harold, which means I can't remember who the knight was. But the gun guy who worked in the clock shop, the fact that I can't getting muddled on his name is proof in of itself that he wasn't that interesting. You know? Like, it's kind of half and half, but I loved Corey, and I loved the setup of Corey's story in that game. I loved Sophie, obviously. I loved Monica. And I still think it's a crime that Monica never again shows up in the entire saga. She's in Sophie 1, and that's it. I mean, neither's Leon, neither's, like, the clock dude, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, what? Like, she's like one of the childhood best friends of Sophie. How does she never show up again? But Oscar does. When Oscar, I thought, was just okay in Sophie, and then, like, he once again kind of grew a little in Firis. But to get back to the characters in Firis, outside of Firis and Leonie, no one else matters because they're all optional, so can't. In fact, there was one character I straight up never picked up, the mercenary. There's an entire character arc I never even began in Firis, but because all of the characters beyond the main two were so lackluster, I didn't care to. I didn't care to, like, talk to Heinz and get to know him. I didn't mind Fritz's daughter because it was a familiar face technically, you know? I didn't mind Oscar because it was a familiar face, even though he wasn't kind of worth it. It was only when Sophie and Plachta joined the party, I was like, okay, well, there's my team set. It was just Firis, Leonie, Sophie. You know, like it became so irrelevant almost to care about anyone else, and I think that is genuinely something worth criticizing. It is also the only game of the saga to have the Observation Institute, which I think is also a shame, because that was the easiest way to keep track of your progression. I understand because Firis being so much more open in nature, they needed something to track progression, but it not showing up in Lydian Suli or Sophie 2 was like, it gets a mention in Sophie 2, but that's it. It was kind of like, oh, okay. And I get why. It's because this exists in Sophie 2. They don't need to do progression because you can literally see it in pieces through here. But still. But it still would have been nice to keep that around. But that's kind of it with Firis. It's just this oddball game that's got some really cool, unique ideas that they don't try again or try as much again. But it's held back with some weird decisions that force them to restrict other avenues. On to Lydian Suli, easily my favourite of the main trilogy. Lydian Suli, like, it fixed everything. Firstly, I was slightly concerned at first because it lowered the active cast count in terms of who was in battle from 4 to 3, similar to how Final Fantasy 6 lowered it from Fantasy 7, lowered it from 4 to 3. But it worked out because you had the whole double up thing with everyone like buddying up the next one, so you still technically had 6. It was like a precursor to what they did in this game in that sense. But there's like that one, you had all those extra combat mechanics added on top of it. Battle Mix, which was divine. I miss Battle Mix so much. That was such a creative, admittedly kind of overpowered, but creative alternate way of doing alchemy in a series about alchemy. Like, it was so, I'm surprised it didn't stick around because it was so clever and so different and so just like, once you had it, you're like, this is the best thing ever. I'm not using the normal system ever again. And it showed, because in this game, I didn't use, like, bombs at all straight away, because I was missing Battle Mix, and the normal bombs and, like, equipment system felt weaker as a result. But Lydian Suli, I was worried about how that would work at first, because they were 2 main characters instead of it just being 1. Little did I realise that those 2 are literally attached at the hip, and so it was pretty much 1 person, because they were never not next to each other. And so that's how they did it, which is fine because both Lydia and Suli were extremely charming. I lean way more onto Suli because I love the tomboy kind of archetype of character. I loved like that kind of stereotype character where she's like a little bit gruff and a little bit more boyish in places. But Lydia's a sweetheart as well, and I thought both of them worked really well and were really enjoyable protagonists. The fact that Suli's main weapon is 2 guns is just funny to me. That's never not funny to me. There's like some 16-year-old kid who's just got 2 guns on her. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. And they also managed to completely address the problem of Sophie 1 and Firis. Not a single one of the extra members that I think was underwhelming or worthless. Yeah, I didn't use ults in combat, like, at all, but his character archetype was so important to this trilogy because of his extension of who he was. Him being, you know, Luard, the main villain of the first game, and having deep connections to Plachta, Sophie's, like, partner at this point, like, being, like, reborn and recreated and getting a second chance at life. Getting a second chance to make things right. They never explain how he became ult, but I think that's just one of those things that it's just, you leave it up to your imagination. Maybe if they make a Firis 2, they'll explain that, or something. But, like, that, like, they got every single character down. All 8 of the main characters were super fun, but I'm also not naive to why they got away with it and why they were all working. It's because outside of Lydia Suli, and Matthias and I've already forgot her name, the redhead girl. So half the cast were new, the other half were returners. Sophie, Firis, Ult technically, and Elmira were all returners, so they all had legacy already. That legacy gave them like free passes almost to be more interesting because you already know them, you've already related to them, you've already seen their stories. So of course they're closer to your heart. I do think Firis is infinitely more interesting of a character in Lydian Suli than she is in her own game, despite the fact I loved her in Firis, just because she's that bit more mature. She's still a complete naive goofball that loves every single glimmer of the world, but she's now 21 instead of 16, so there's just that teeny tiny bit more maturity in her, and that's like a bit more like focus on their character that just made her more enjoyable on like a casual level. Because she is like that, she was like that hyper energy child that is super fun to watch when they're pestering someone else. but not when they're pestering you. And that was Furious and Furious, whilst in Liddy and Sully, there's a lot less of that. So she'd be someone that I think anyone would get along with. Well, anyone would get along with her anyway, but you know what I mean. It would be easier for, like, me to get along with her and, like, put up with her consistently without tiring out trying to keep up with her sort of thing. But I love the story. I love the fact that it kept the general theme, because in the Mysterious games, the theme isn't the mysteries. Despite being called the Mysterious series, there is a central theme that is present in every single game of grief and how each character handles it. In Sophie 1, it was like what Sophie did and found her footing in life after losing her grandmother, which was her only family. In Furious, it's actually through Leonie, because Leonie's her adopted sister, and it's her parents who were murdered by a dragon, and it's her deciding to take revenge, so taking it a different avenue. In Liddy and Sully, they lost their mother, and it's not about healing in the same way, it's about defying expectation and defying what's expected of them, and finding a new path that ignores the logic of this person's supposed to be dead to find their own routing. Whilst in this game, the grief isn't already happened. This game handles it more head-on, because in all three of the trilogy, the grief has happened in the past and it's what they do now. In this game, Ramazal is right in front of you, and Sophie has to say goodbye eventually, so that theme creeps in at the very end, where she has to say goodbye to her grandmother again, knowing it will be the very last time she will ever get to speak with her. So of course, like, it's so much more forefront, and you got to see this mature and powerful character break one last time, and just be that inner child break out one last time, desperately not wanting to let go of basically Sophie's mother figure. You know, the biggest source of inspiration and the biggest reason why she is the way she is. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I was talking about Liddy and Sully. I'll get to Sophie 2 in a second. But then with Liddy and Sully, so you have that defiance, but that's not the thing that pulled me in the most. It wasn't the defiance of the theme and like the defiance of the story and the push for destiny to make things right. No, it was the paintings. The mysterious paintings, using an idea of you can enter a painting world and it can be anything the designers want, because it doesn't have to follow any logic, was such a brilliant idea for this fantasy franchise, because they could literally do anything. They were some of the most fun and inventive and creative dungeons I've experienced thus far in Atelier, because they were unique and they didn't have to follow any conventional rules. It's not as open as Furious. In fact, it's closer to what Sophie is, where you just pick a location and warp there. But the actual dungeons themselves and all the areas are significantly bigger. They don't feel like just little playgrounds with a couple enemies and a couple things to do. They do feel like actual zones for you to explore. And the dungeons are all multi-layered with like 3 to 4 zones, sometimes even 5 zones, that are all kind of chunky, all have things to fight through, all have things to work through, without overstaying their welcome. And there's good variety. There's a couple rehashes like later on where like you go from like an ice forest and then later on you do an ice palace. It's like there's 2 ice dungeons, come on. But you know, but as a whole, considering there's like, you know, 8 or 9 paintings in the main game, and even more if you count the extra stuff, there was a heck of a lot of variety, and I think they really nailed it. And the alchemy system, genuinely, I think it was the best one. I love the alchemy system in this game, don't get me wrong, but I think that one narrowly nudged it out, because I loved the Zodiac system they had with it. I adored the Zodiac, not the Sun and Moon system and everything with that, where every single element also had Zodiac symbols, and depending on what extra ingredient you add to it would affect those symbols and your grid. It was like an expansion of the Furious system, but with more on top of it as well. So finding more inventive and creative ways to get on top of the symbols, to get everything as it is, to boost things to their absolute limit, was super like addictive. To see how it goes, see what you can get away with, see if you can just alter one piece and make something work out, and all that other stuff. It was super addictive, and I loved doing it. And the fact that you could mess with things so severely on top of it just added more and more to it. Then the music of the main trilogy, I'm treating Sophie 2 as separate because it kind of is the middle of the road, because it did also have some amazing tracks. In fact, arguably some of my favorite tracks are in Liddy and Sully. It's just overall... actually, no, that I say that. Actually, I kind of disagree with myself a little. I was about to say overall I think Sophie 1's better, but actually I think it's actually the other way around. So I think Leia Zaya is like the best final boss theme, and that's from Sophie 1. But I loved all the dungeon themes in Lydia and Sully, and I can't remember any of the dungeon themes in Sophie 1, so I think that alone has to make Lydia and Sully have the better tracks. I just remember more of it, you know? It has the better soundtrack as a whole. It stuck out to me more as a whole as a result. I'm trying to think what else they really talk about Lydia and Sully. I mean, more comes to me as I talk about other characters, obviously. I loved how Lydia and Sully wrapped up so much. That's the next thing I can actually talk about. Every single story arc that was set up in Sophie 1 and Furious got a conclusion. Not all of them were like made equal, because I said I did grow to Fritz's family as it went on, but it was still kind of an expected story road. So it was still kind of slightly underwhelming in that sense. There was no like radical surprises. It was just kind of like, yeah, okay, it's a family that disagreed in the past and they're gonna get together again. Oh, look at that, they got together again. You know, it wasn't like that overly surprising. It was just how it was. Corey's was the one that was disappointing, because I was genuinely invested in Corey, and she just finds her dad off screen. It's like, oh, okay, sure. That felt like not like a corner cut, but just kind of like, what happened here? But every other story arc, Furious and Leonie, you know, knowing what they want to do next, and, you know, finding their future for their adulthood. Plachta finally becoming human again, like no longer being a doll body. And like Sophie and Plachta basically marry each other. Let's be honest. They make that deep inner soul promise that they will stick by each other's side and grow old together in their adventures. Like, they have their story arc finalized of like those two are a duo for life, and literally make that promise to each other as an oath of love towards family, regardless of how you want to see it, whether it's them in a relationship or them as just family. The point stands, that is like the finality of their story arc and the finality of Sophie's growth as a 26-year-old, that she makes that choice that no, she is going to go on this globe-trotting adventure holding hands with Plachta, the dearest woman of her life, while still honoring the practices and everything she learned from her late grandmother even a decade after her passing. Like, everything felt like it got a real conclusion, especially because Alt is Luard, so Plachta finally got to bury the hatchet with her old friend from her youth, and finally make a new fresh start with them. Something that made Plachta cry, for goodness sake, because yeah, of course it would. There was such a long-lasting bitterness that sat on the end that Plachta never got to resolve, that she finally got an answer to, truthfully. You know? And it was like everything got wrapped up beautifully. Lydia and Sully was the perfect conclusion to the trilogy. Which does make Sophie 2 slightly odd, because it's based between Sophie 1 and Furious, so she's about 19, I think the actress said she was. But they still knew that this came after that trilogy in terms of when they made it, so instead of making it that you play this, then have to go to Furious, they still expect you to play the trilogy, then come to this. They reference everything. This game, it does simplify the Zodiac system into just elements. So instead of being Zodiac symbols you have to pay attention to, it will just be a symbol of wind. So you know that's to do with the wind element. It's just a symbol of light or a symbol of ice. But it's the same idea. And they also brought back the cauldron system, but instead of it being cauldrons, it's catalysts. Where you make catalysts, and that's how you expand your grid to make more. That's how you get special attributes or special abilities to make things better quality or better tricks of the trade and whatnot. And I do slightly prefer the Lydia and Sully system, just because it was slightly more complicated for you to figure out and required slightly more brain power to piece together. But I appreciate them finding a way to simplify it slightly to make it more approachable in this. Because that is the thing. I think if I started with Lydia and Sully, it would have been overwhelming. Whilst if I started with this, I think I would have figured it out, because it's just all the more challenging edges are cut off. I think it's the easiest way to put it. Like, all the challenging edges that kind of shouldn't be there are smoothed in this. It smoothed the edges I liked. It's the problem. I kind of liked it when it was a cube, but now it's a sphere. I'm kind of missing the cube. That's kind of the easiest way to put it. But in the same vein, the characters in this game are phenomenal. It does slip up slightly, and I do want to make a point of saying this. I made it in my general game with breakdown at the end of the last stream. One character in this game, that being Alette, I do think loses her prominence as the game goes on. At the start of the game, she is extremely necessary, extremely helpful, has a good character piecing. She's literally the reason Sophie finds her footing in the world, because it's her and Perka waking her up, and Alette shows her around, then eventually takes her to Plachta. You know, like, it's all in place for Alette to be there and to be helpful and be like the first friend that helps you out and helps you find your footing. It's just as the game goes on, she just becomes kind of not one note but less helpful. She's just a girl always trying to make money, and that kind of sticks. She's a girl trying to make money that has a good heart, and that's just kind of all she is. She doesn't go through the character development everyone else does. Like, she's not Elias, who, you know, learns and remembers like the value of his family and how much. It's not Diebold, who has a personal vengeance towards this dragon of the land, and he comes to understand how much it's gone through. Another journey you've been on, this mysterious endeavor. Yeah, thank you. I'm making up my final thoughts more than anything now, one man. But I loved that piece. I loved how they handled that bit and how it went into it and everything with Elias and Diebold. Ramazal, obviously radically important. She's literally, because of like the shenanigans of the Dream Realm, anyone can join from any time. Sophie's grandmother when she was only a couple years older than what Sophie is now, so she's only like 22. Of course, she had a great significance. You literally see the full circle of Ramazal's inspiration to take her alchemy more seriously was because of Sophie. And vice versa, when Ramazal is a grandmother way later, she is the reason Sophie got it. And it was also because, and most importantly for me, it was closure to a little thing for Sophie that I think she so desperately needed. A final actual farewell with her grandmother. It always felt like things just kind of happened in the whole saga, that her grandma just passed away. It never gave off this idea that Sophie got to say her final farewell, that they got to say these final pieces. This game added so much to Ramazal and Sophie as a result, because Ramazal's in it. And she got to give that final farewell, that proper, I am proud of you, and I will love you, and I'm always here for you. You know, that thing that we all kind of want to hear when we lose our loved ones. Sophie got to hear it. She got to have that closure, and I think that was so important in of itself. And I've said it before as well in the last stream, the side characters in this game are great. I haven't mentioned the side characters in my general series review that much, and that's because, honestly, most of them are just there to be shopkeep. But this game made more of a point to make them more prominent and more significant. Because, like, in Sophie 1, outside of Tess, I didn't care about any of them. You know? You know, outside of Tess, I didn't get killed for that opportunity. Yeah, here. Outside of Tess, I didn't care about any of them. I didn't care about the barkeep dude. He was just the man who gave me quests. I didn't care about Oscar's mother. She was just the person who sold me shit. I didn't care about the blacksmith. It was just make me my weapons. You know, like, they were just shopkeeps. Whilst this game made all the side characters super prominent and helpful and integral to the story and have their own character arcs in their own way. Which, that alone, like, this game easily has the best side characters of the franchise, because all the rest are literally fucking shopkeeps. You know? And then the music in this game, I think as a whole, it's my favourite soundtrack in the Mysterious Saga. But if I had to pick key tracks, there are key tracks in Lydia and Sully I prefer in terms of dungeon themes, and there are key tracks in Sophie 1 in terms of battle themes I prefer. Sorry, Fierce, to get the short end of the stick again. But that's kind of... And also, oh yeah, the gameplay. I should talk about the gameplay of this one as well, since I've talked about the gameplay of the rest. They kept it as a party of 3, but on that's like the loosest fucking use of the word. It's in the same way that Lydia and Sully is kind of loose because everyone's partnered up. This game is extremely loose because you're constantly swapping between them. You're using all 6 really, it's just you only have 3 on the front line at any given time. And I genuinely think, as much as I miss Battle Mix, this game has the best gameplay loop. The actual combat, this game easily has the best gameplay. Because it was never not fun. It never felt like a grind. Even Lydia and Sully, as much as I love the battle mix system and I loved all that, there were points where it felt grindy because it was just the nature of the beast. This, I never didn't enjoy it because there was always something new to do. And this game, in my opinion, is the hardest of the Mysterious games. And I mean that in a good way. Sophie 1, outside of like post-game stuff, and I didn't even do that much post-game before I wrapped up, to be fair, the main game wasn't that hard. The final boss took a while to get through, sure, but the game wasn't that hard. Furious was a joke how easy it was once you got your footing. It was hard at first, once you got your footing, you were set. And Lydia and Sully was more respectable, but it felt like you got too built up, especially when you can make things like the nuke and battle mix, like difficulty get broken in two. Whilst this game genuinely was pretty tough. Like, we nearly didn't make that final boss. You know, that was super, like, tight in the end. So I really respect and enjoy that, and I'm hoping, cross fingers, when I go through the Secret Saga, some of that will carry over, that the Secret Saga will challenge me, because I honestly don't remember much or enough about Ryza to really answer that. Because it's just been years, and like I just kind of half grazed through. I didn't have like the passion as a series that I do now. Well, I'll be noticing a lot more in it, so to speak, when we start Ryza. And obviously Ryza 2 I've never played, so I'll find out when I get to that. But I look forward to just seeing where it goes. But that's kind of it. If I had to put them in order from favorite to least, it'd probably honestly be go backwards from the last one. Outside of Theoris. Like, if I had to, like, I know I've got my main tier list, but for people who don't care about the tier list and just are curious about my actual mysterious, like, series thoughts in general, Sophie 2's at the top, then Lily and Sully, but Lily and Sully is, I can't stress enough, the closest close second possible. The more I think on it, the more I do think Sophie 2 is slightly better, but, like, it was tough to get to that decision, because I love Lily and Sully so much. Then it's Sophie 1, then it's Theoris. And if I don't think basic, be my action RPG, both coming back action RPGs are not difficult to me. Yeah, I know it's more action-y focused, but there's still, like, you know, there's still, you know, crafting, there's still equipment, there's still stats that could get you screwed over. You just have to pay more attention because it's on the move. Excuse me. But we'll see. I'll make, as the resident JRPG enthusiast, I will make those judgments when I go to, because it's still JRPG, it's still Japanese, it's just got slightly more action focus on it. But that's kind of it. I've been seeing on this screen, when when this video is done on the stream, when it's like processed and everything, I'll put a timestamp for when I start my final thoughts. I do want to make that last thing of just saying, like, once you finished Atelier Plachta, I like that you can access the dungeon in the main game and get new recipes out of it. That is just nice. Now I know why this gap was here. I think that is super cool. That you can literally pick up a new recipe exclusively for Plachta, which is this. Their childhood dream, which allows you to make a Mosaic umbrella and the candy sundae. Your armor is such a very relevant at all items. Yeah, of course. Oh, so that's what those bottom two items are in the reference book were. It's because it's the DLC, so they got added on at the end. I get it. We save over file 4 or file 03 because file 1 is 0. But that's kind of everything, which is tragic because I don't want to say goodbye to this bean, but we have to. Actually, you know what would be easier? Hang on. This, because then I'd be like, there's like, we can. Something missing besides that black hole. Fair enough. Also, sorry if you heard that. That was just my shoulder cracking. But if I had to like, make it my last like TLDR, if we didn't want to listen to, like, because I literally have been talking for the past hour about my thoughts on the whole series. Sophie, I love her growth. I love her journey. I love her spirit, and I love her passion for her, like, for the world around her. I love how much of an inspiration her grandmother is. I love the relationship she builds with Plachta, and I love the closure she gets in Sophie 2 with her relationship with her grandmother, as well as the closure of helping Plachta. Our Plachta, I like the mentor figure that she was, and it took me a little bit to get around her, because she was quite the bossy boots in Sophie 1, but once, like, she grew past that and became more of a good friend to Sophie, she became beautiful in her own right, and I grew really attached to her as well. Rami is like my favorite character in this game. Rami, next to Debo, Rami's like my favorite character in this game, and I really hope if they decide to do another Mysterious Saga game, they genuinely make it about her. I don't, as much as I'll miss Sophie, I don't think they need to give Sophie another game right now. I would much rather them give Rami a game, honestly. I'd love to see what she does after she left the Dream Realm, and what she finds, and what adventures she goes on before she finds her future husband and all that happens. Because she's just such a fun character. She really is. I love her, like, kind of cheeky spirit that she has with everything, while at the same time being kind of down to earth and more grounded in ways. Like, she can be the mature one, she can be the sensible one, she's just a little bit cheekier. Kid Plachi, the catchphrases are golden, but I loved seeing that origin, and it inadvertently made me appreciate our Plachta more. You know, like being able to see her when she was young, and you can see like the baby steps of the growth, made me appreciate our Plachta even more. So I think even with the catchphrases, she was really charming. Alette, like I said, Alette's like the girl next door. She's like the really bouncy, bubbly friend who just wants to help everyone, even if she's very money focused. My only downside with her is that she becomes kind of irrelevant to the plot about halfway through. She's just the friend who's always there. Elias, although he reminded me a lot of Matthias, and even their names kind of sound similar, I like that he's such a family man, and he puts so much into it, and that he prides himself on his family and wants to make the most for them, and his dream is to help them any way he can. Diebold is straight up my favourite male character in the Atelier series so far. Like, there's no contest to me. I was invested in Diebold's story, and I wasn't expecting him to, because he felt like just the extra. At first, like when he first joined, he felt like just the extra that showed up with Ramazal, but no, I loved his story. I loved like his quest for vengeance, but like the discovery and respect for his enemies, yet his loyalties to knighthood, yet his confusion about what to do since he abandoned his shield. All of that just made him extremely fascinating to me. Perka, Corey 2.0, but I jest. I genuinely like Perka. In fact, in terms of personality, I think I almost kind of prefer her to Corey, in terms of that sense. I kind of prefer Perka. She was just such a bounce, with a lot of cheek added to it, whilst Corey was slightly more shy and nervous at first, and a sleepyhead. So Elias also, I like that Diebold just on the Soul Sacred my theme. Gnome I wasn't expecting to, I know this is a familiar tale with the Atelier series, but I wasn't expecting to like Gnome, but Gnome grew on me as well, because I like his themes, I like his admiration and respect and passionate care for basically his mentor, and I love like that he's not afraid to put his passions in front of him. Well, it takes him a while there, but he has passions that he's prepared to stick on, and it means a lot to him, and it gets further with it, and he's also like just kind of a genuinely nice guy. Katie, the most elegant, arguably, character of the entire cast in terms of her design. I love her design, I'll just say that straight up. In terms of like actual like art design and aesthetic, I think she looks really cool. I wish she kept the coat on more often, because I genuinely like the coat so much as well, and the design and everything. But I get why she takes it off all the time, but that's besides the point. They were all, like, she was super, super fun, and I think, especially, because it's not even a competition, because she is basically the guide person you talk to pick up quests of this game. The last person we had that was Sophie 1, which was that bartender. There's no competition. The bartender was such a non-existent character, whilst Katie is such a cool character in contrast. And Elvira, I said, I genuinely, Elvira is just the lost child of the story, and I genuinely like love seeing like the child grow, so to speak. I love the relationship she has with Rami, like the almost like mother-daughter relationship she has. I love the duty and sense of like respect that she has for the world around her and how much she wants to do it. And as much as it annoys me a little bit, I completely get the character arc of her feeling it's her responsibility and she has to do it, and her stubbornness is what gets her in trouble and gets her possessed by the Groll. As for the first game's cast, his name was Julio Harold. Okay. Oscar, like, first game's cast, Oscar was Oscar. He was alright, he was nice to be around, but I feel like he got slightly better in Furious. Monica is a crime she never showed up again, because she was, like, you know, the original friend of Sophie, and I just feel like that was such a waste to never bring her back. Julio, his legacy carries on, because Matthias was trained by Julio, so his legacy carries on. If there was a bit of attraction to the story, I mean, I get that, but I still like disagree. I get why people think that, but for me, it's like it's not her that was the problem. It was the Groll that possessed her. But then that completely alienates it. The Groll are the villain. The problem with this game, and it's the same problem with Furious, is that it doesn't have a central villain. And it's not to say that every game needs one. It's just it became apparent in this one that the Groll were just the baddies, and they happened to use Elvira as a surrogate because this game has a problem with boss fights. This game has a problem with boss fights where some of its, I guess all the budget was getting thrown around in other projects. They didn't have every penny in the world to make every single boss unique, so instead you fight Elvira too many times. Corey is a charming little goofball, but the ending of her story arc is kind of disappointing. Harold just vanishes as well, but unlike Monica, I didn't mind it because he's not that interesting. Fritz had to grow on me, but he grew on me because the later games expanded on his character by giving him a family. Leon is fun, and I'm glad that you hear more about her as the games went on, but she just kind of vanishes. My wife is my wife, and it's nice to still see and hear about. She gets one reference in this game where it's like Rami knows about Pamela as well, and that's it. I got real tired of her arc real fast. I guess that's fair. And of course, they don't have the Furious and Lily and Suli characters because it's based before then. But that's kind of all I have to say. I'm just kind of dragging it out at this point. Which I know I was gonna do. The only like real problem I had with Elvira's story arc is when they make you filler up to these stand dunes just to buy time for Elvira to keep helping people. And then it bite her in the ass because she's absorbing everyone's nightmares. And like, that's it. I feel like they could have done that story arc without this existing at all. Or, as I said in the last stream, what would have been better, made more sense, is have this story arc, and instead of making up a conventional item for you to then access this dungeon, have you go exploring, and then you stumble into here, and then you stumble into the gate, and then like you need to make something for the gate, and it's another alchemy test, and then you get into the final dungeon. That, I think, would have made it more interesting. But the fact that it's just you stroll here because the game says so, then shit happens, then you come back on plot MacGuffins, made it less significant and less interesting. If they had more time to flesh her out. Yeah, that I would agree with. I do think they needed a bit more time. There's a lot of assumed with Elvira's character. There's a lot of, like, you just expect it to just go, oh, okay, that's the nature of this. You just expect to just assume X, Y, and Z. But that doesn't change the fact that I still liked her character a lot. I still loved Elvira. I ended up kind of half treating Elvira like my own daughter at the end as it was going on. I was like telling her off alongside Rami. But I know that's just me and that's just my personal like thoughts on it. But yeah, I need to end this. Unfortunately, there's not really much of a bang to end it on, so I'm just going to kind of have to wrap it here. But not just you, one man, but anyone who's like just popped in on the odd streams or seen the odd bit and have got to this point and have just been curious about my journey throughout the mysterious saga, genuinely thank you so much. Part of the reason I had so much fun wasn't just because these games are great, but because I had people to bounce off who could share their experiences or share their curiosity and whatnot. It's genuinely been a blast, and I love this saga, and I can't wait to try Ryza with this new perspective of this saga and see where that takes me with Ryza 1 then Ryza 2. Obviously, we're not going to jump straight into it straight away. I mean, it will be this week. I said I will get it started before. Fair about view count. I'm never too fussed, but when it's literally just me, then that was the thing that happened with the later Soul Hacker streams. Like the last Soul Hacker stream I did, 90% of that stream was just me, and then it became more awkward. I always try to play the games that make me happy, and Soul Hacker 2 does make me, but it just became more awkward. And what didn't help was that game, as much as I enjoyed it, was starting to frustrate me because of some of its lack of quality of life, which the patch that just came out, actually, like every single complaint I had in quality of life got fixed in the patch. So I'm just like, oh, okay, now I'll get back to it. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, I love Soul Hackers 2 anyway. It's got problems for sure. Like, it's the epitome of a 7 out of 10 game, where it's like, it's the same way I say like Sonic Frontiers is kind of a 7 out of 10 game, where if you're in the niche, it's perfect, but if you're not, it's just alright. I am in Soul Hackers 2's niche of it being a traditional RPG, so I really enjoyed it. And then on Wednesday, we're going to start Ryza, and start an entirely new saga with a new girl's journey, and move beyond this. This isn't, however, I do want to make it clear, this doesn't mean this is the absolute final farewell of Sophie in the Mysterious Saga. Yakuza 0 just had a soft crash? Oof. Because what I mean is, as I said it before, after I've done the Ryza games, I don't know when, but at some point I'd like to come back to these to 100% them. And I think they would be cozy, like, one-off streams on the side. Like, maybe if I'm doing something else, and maybe like once or twice a week, I do like more Sophie. Look at Sophie being super cute. Like, do more Sophie 1 streams, for example, and focus down on, you know, platinuming in it, and then moving to Furious, and then focus on that, and then Lily and Suli, and then this game, which, to be fair, there's not. I looked at the trophy list. There's not actually that much for me to do. Like, hit like max alchemy level, make everything. Actually, I can quickly check. Go to trophy, sorry, 1 second. Not Not earned. Do 99,000 damage. I can figure that out by following a guide. Get all recipes. Make a 999 quality item. Max alchemy level. Harvest crops of every variety of seed. That would be the grindy one, but that's fine. Elvira on very hard. Oh, Jesus. We'll figure that one out. And defeat all giant enemies. I'll do that by exploring the map anyway. So in general, like, Sophie 2 will probably be the easiest to platinum in terms of work. If anything, the only one I think will be a while will be Furious, just because of the nature of me being an idiot and saving at the worst times. I will have to at least do one more playthrough to try and do win a match against Sophie. So this isn't the last time we'll see Sophie. It's the last canonical, like, story relevant time we'll be seeing Sophie and gang, unless they do another mysterious game, which you never know, because I was looking into it, and to be honest, Sophie 2 existing and the Lure existing both happen for the same reason: popularity polls. The 4th Ireland game happened because there was a popularity poll and the Ireland Saga won, and this game happened because they did a character popularity poll and Sophie won. So following that logic, it's really more than easily capable that we will come back to this mysterious saga if there's a character popularity poll and say fucking Furious wins it. They might then do Furious 2 and figure that out. Because the only thing I think a Furious 2 could clean up is how the twins became alt. Not Liddy and Sudi twins, the bad guy twins, Luard twins. How they became alt, because that's just kind of glossed over as just oh, things happened. Like, Furious 2 could maybe cover that, but like, that's it. But then it'd be another excuse to maybe include Sophie one way or another. And they could give Sophie a jacket that's red on the outside but white on the inside. Sort of like how this one, where it's in between Sophie 1 and Furious, is like blue on the outside, blue on the inside. Yeah, like, yeah, come on. Or they could just, you know, if Ramazor wins it, make Atelier Ramazor, which, like I said, I'd love to see. But I don't know when they'll be, because after Rise of 3, I wouldn't be surprised if they do one more, like, back to the past game, like, go back to a previous, like, saga and do a new game for it. But then after that, I imagine it'd be all hands on deck for whatever the next saga is. You know? Whatever comes next. I just realized the inside of the coat in all 3 games is white. They were always leading up to her taking the white coat. And it's in this one, it's just red instead, where it makes it look comfier. I do think I like this design the best still. This second best. And then this, and then that one. Because it's more just because you don't see her that much in Furious compared to the other games. But that's it, I am literally rambling. I've been talking about the legacy of the franchise for over an hour now. You should wrap up. I don't know why I'm saving again, but here we are. Oh, we get to wrap up with my favourite actual Atelier theme, the Liddy and Sully one. But that'll do from me. Like I said, tomorrow we'll be back on the Soul Hacker grind, which I imagine that first stream tomorrow will be more me just trying to get my bearings again, because it's been so long. But we'll get back on it. And then Wednesday we start Riser, and we'll see what journey that takes us on. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you once again for following me on my mysterious journey for all this mysterious saga. I hope we get more mysterious saga games in the future. I don't know what they would do with it though, which is the only reason why I'm hesitant, outside of maybe Ramazol. But I hope this isn't the last time we see of Sophie. And I think the only reason I think it might not be is because they're still doing merchandise of Sophie. In fact, a statue of Sophie is coming out next year in Japan. And the official Gust calendar for 2023, so you can buy a calendar. The first artwork, literally no, not the first art. The first artwork's Riser, the last one, sorry, is Sophie in a big fluffy winter coat. And it's like, oh, so they still, like, they're saying in 2023, they're still making Sophie kind of a prominent face of the series. But, so hopefully we'll see more of it, but we'll see. How about a Plachta, like a full one, not just an analog DLC? I would love that, but I don't want it to be Kid Plachta. As much as I love Kid Plachta, I think Kid Plachta's story is enough here, because you know what happens next when she gets back to the real world. She keeps, like, the feeling of alchemy, but she loses the memory, but then she shows off to Luard a new talent, that makes Luard jealous, and everything plays out as you know. I think what would make more sense instead is they did an Atelier Plachta, like a proper game Atelier Plachta, is make it based at the end of the timeline, like after Lydia and Sully, and you just play it from Plachta's perspective, because it makes sense. So maybe an in-between Teen Plushie? Even that, I don't know. I think for me, I'd honestly want human Plachta in Sophie's timeline after the events of Lydia and Sully, because it's established that her alchemy isn't that good anymore because of how outdated and left behind she is. So they could literally use that to their advantage to make her have like a near fresh start, and there you go, you've got your level 1 protagonist. You know? And then have Sophie as your secondary character, so she's still prominent, and like expand on their relationship a lot more. Another Luard fight with Teen Plushie. I mean, that would be interesting. The problem, like, the only like concern I have is whether they could make a whole game out of it, especially considering you know what happens with everything. You know? There's so many pieces of it you know already that making a whole game around it, if you've played the saga, you would have too much like forefront knowledge. Unless they, you know, make up the whole, you know, unique own story that then Plushie also then forgets and never tells Plachta about. You know? That just happen to never bring up. I mean, I'm not saying they can't do it. They absolutely can. I'm just being like, what would I prefer? And my two big things is either Atelier Ramazol or Plachta, but based at the end of the timeline. Because we can also then get to see Lydia and Sully a bit more grown up. And that's admittedly one of the bigger reasons. And because of the fact that Lydia and Sully ends with them traveling, they could not do the time limit, but embrace that's a similar idea, especially because Rise of Free's open world, that Furious was kind of going for, and make it like a giant journey adventure game. And have the whole cast be Plachta leading, Sophie, Furious, Leonie, the twins, and maybe like 1 or 2 extra new faces you meet on your journey. I have is that there's a major time gap I'd like shown. Yeah, I mean, how did... Because it's never explained how Plushie became a book. That's like the only thing. Like, I know it's like Luard shenanigans that resulted in it, but that's like the only thing that's like never really properly explained. But that's it. That's really it. That's my preference. If this carries on, either give me Ramazol or give me Plachta. I don't think this series genuinely needs another brand new face protagonist after the main trilogy. Personally, I don't think they need it. If it's like, hey, we made this character, like just to use one of my characters, it's like, hey, we made Azel or something, and it's like, it's in a mysterious saga, I'd be like, oh, another new face? Alright. I don't think they need to do that. So if it's in Warriors All-Stars, you're going to try it? Don't know. Don't know. I'll look into it. In the same way, like, cause I know, like, I did support your comment saying Ryza was in Azure Lane. I was just monologuing too much at the time. I'll look into all that stuff. Sophie is sticking with me for a long while. I might try and see if I can get that Sophie statue, but I don't know, like, I don't know how pricey it will be, but we'll see. Because I do have a statue in my room. I have Kurumi, so I think it'd be nice, like, to just have that associated, but we'll see. But I really am rambling at this point, so I am going to wrap up. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next in the Atelier series for Ryza on Wednesday, but next on stream for Soul Hackers 2 tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.